The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
We welcome you live to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where today 42 of the finest stock car drivers in the world are set to do battle for 500 miles in the 38th running of the NASCAR Winston Cup PRIMESTAR 500. Most assuredly, they each want to win, but for some, the reasons extend far beyond simple victory. For Dale Earnhardt, it is a chance to regain lost glory. You see, Earnhardt's last stand in victory lane came here in this race 1 year ago. After the way he dominated that day, no one would have guessed the 7-time Winston Cup champion would begin a 30-race winless streak. Week after week, historically friendly playing fields turned angry. Talladega left him battered and beaten, and the Brickyard forced him to give up his most prized possession, his race car. Through it all, this modern era icon managed to finish fourth in the points. 1997 harkened a new beginning. Maybe a sharpened focus with crew chief Larry McReynolds would propel Dale to win at Daytona, but it was not to be. This tumble would prove to be an omen. And despite the smile, he is painfully aware that for the first time in a career that spans 3 decades, he has failed to record a top 10 finish in 3 starts. Well, the events leading up to today's 4th race of the year haven't been overly encouraging either for Dale Earnhardt. On Friday, a disappointing first-round qualifying run left him 43rd. Now, he rebounded yesterday by posting the fastest lap in second-round qualifying. Thus, he will start 26th. How appropriate, given the luck of this team this year, that they will start outside row 13. But it's a brand-new race car, and Spinney, Clendenin, and the guys in the engine shop have been burning the midnight oil. Just maybe today is a brand-new beginning for Dale Earnhardt.
If the Iron Man has seen misfortune, then this man, NASCAR's youngest champion, has seen virtually bulletproof. Jeff Gordon backed up his '95 championship with a series-leading 10 wins in 1996. In Daytona this year, Gordon went on to the World Center of Racing and beat Dale Earnhardt and 42 others to score his first Daytona 500 victory. 1 week later, he came to Rockingham and scored back-to-back, taking the checkered flag at the Rock. Last week, Gordon found himself out of contention after clipping a tire barrier. But Richmond may have identified an intangible that Gordon and the Rainbow Warriors have. Ignoring the smoke, a sure signal of impending tire failure, Jeff stayed out, gambling that luck would lean his way. It did. Gordon then slugged it out with Rusty Wallace to get in a position to win. A late race tangle with Ernie Irvin caused this blown tire and pushed Gordon further up the ladder. A 4th place finish was his. Think like a winner, and more often than not, you'll be one. Jeff Gordon comes to Atlanta Motor Speedway trying to prove that adage one more time. He only could qualify in 23rd position, but he brings a car that has never won. In fact, it's the only car in the Hendrick Gordon stable that is winless. It's old backdraft. The best finish for this car, 2nd place here in Atlanta. Jeff Gordon hopes to change that with a winning attitude and bring backdraft to the front.
In recent years, Dale Jarrett has become one of the driving forces in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, clearly emerging from the shadow of the other Dale. To go and grow in this competitive alley, you must first learn to finish, car and confidence intact. Then you continue the fight. You race and chase, seeking wins and titles. Sometimes at the finish line, you can see the future behind you.
They bump, they touch, they love going down the backstretch, side by side, wheel to wheel. Who is it going to be in the Champion Spark Plug 400? It's going to be a photo finish. They touch coming down through the tri-oval at the line. Who wins it? I believe it's
The thrills have continued, and for Dale Jarrett, his climb to the top has been boosted by different cars and different colors, different teams and different tracks. Maybe winning is in the blood. Certainly it's always in the heart. It's been said great drivers win the great races, but only the greatest drivers win the championships. The checklist to a championship must include consistency, but it also demands talent and timing. Dale Jarrett has the talent. His 1997 is time.
Well, if all that cloning stuff everybody's talking about really works, this might be a great guy to start with. Last year, Dale Jarrett won 4 of the biggest races on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit, including the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400. This season, this series has run 993 laps, and Jarrett has led 49.8% of them. I did the math. He was second 2 weeks ago and third last week. And that's good for the big picture, but this team is looking at the championship and they want the points. But after winning 4 of the first 21 races last year, Dale Jarrett hasn't won in 13 races. He wants to get back to victory lane today because winning proves one thing to you. Second place on Sunday means you're the first loser.
From Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, located about 30 miles south of Atlanta, ABC Sports welcomes you to the PRIMESTAR 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. Beautiful warm spring weather has greeted a huge crowd of race fans for this 4th event of the 97 season. Entering this race, Jeff Gordon has won 2 of the 3 races and is atop the point standings. The defending series champion and Gordon's teammate Terry Labonte is second. Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, and the third Hendrick driver Ricky Craven is 5th. The second 5 includes home state favorite Bill Elliott and last week's winner at Richmond, Rusty Wallace. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons, and if today's race is anything like qualifying on Friday, we're in for a few surprises here this afternoon. The drivers that you normally think of qualifying well are starting in the mid to back pack, and some of the drivers that don't normally qualify well are up front.
Well, you know, folks, when the cars get to the racetracks, there are 2 distinct races. The first is qualifying. That happens on Friday afternoon, the first round. And it was weird. Cars, just like Bob said, you expect to be in the front, they're in the back, and vice versa. But, you know, some of those cars in the front, they're going backwards. Some of those cars in the rear, they're coming forwards. And what happens when they get in the middle? You have thunderstorms.
We should have a big one here today. For more on the scrambled starting lineup, here's Jerry Punch.
You know, Bob, it is almost expected here in the spring that qualifying will yield some surprises. Row 2 starters Dick Trickle and Darrell Waltrip proved that you can be just as fast after you turn 50 as before. But the big surprise is up front, where 28-year-old rookie Robbie Gordon claimed the pole in just his 12th Winston Cup start. Yes, the already talent-rich Winston Cup pool gets richer as rookies like Robbie Gordon surface as rising stars. Jack?
Jerry, what a difference a day makes. What a difference a week makes. How about the winner of last week's race at Richmond? Well, the best that Rusty Wallace could do in qualifying here in Atlanta was the last qualified spot. He'll go to post in 38th, actually in 39th position. Now, what about a month ago, the outside pole sitter for the Daytona 500, Steve Grissom? He could only make 39th spot with a provisional spot. What about 5 months ago? The man, Bobby Labonte, who ran so well here. What about a year ago? Johnny Benson, who ran so well. They're mired in the back of the pack as well. But for Bobby Labonte, there was some good news at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. In the final practice session, Bobby Labonte's car was one of the quickest, Bill Weber.
Jack, this is the last race the Winston Cup Series will run on this oval. When we return here in November, the track will be a more passive and predictable tri-oval. Now, you veterans know how thrilling racing on this configuration can be. For you new fans, well, what would you see if you were here in Atlanta today? Well, a bunch of fast cars, a few crazy drivers, and plenty of traffic on a difficult track. And that's just out on the interstate. Where do you see these 42 guys stepping the gas? March Madness begins here and now.
And here's the starting lineup for the PRIMESTAR 500 on the pole. The third rookie to win a pole in the last 4 PRIMESTAR 500s, Robbie Gordon. On the outside of the front row, Mark Martin. Row number 2 in his 50th Atlanta start is Darrell Waltrip and Dick Trickle, who has some of his best finishes at this track. Hut Strickland has his best Atlanta start, and Lake Speed has his best start since the 1996 Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. Ted Musgrave is looking for his first top 10 of 97, and Jeff Bodine is looking for his third straight top 10. Row number 5, Dale Jarrett. He has led the most laps in the last 2 races, and on the outside of row 5 is Kenny Wallace.
Inside row 6, Billy Standridge, his best career start, and Jimmy Spencer on the outside. Row 7, we'll find Ricky Craven. Jeremy Mayfield finished 5th here last year. Back in row 8, Bill Elliott, 5 times he's won in Atlanta. Rick Mast on the outside. In row 9, Ernie Irvin, won here in 1989. ARCA 200-mile race brought him to prominence. And Bobby Hamilton, the King's car on the outside. David Green will start inside row 10, and Sterling Marlin on the outside.
In the 11th row, Morgan Shepherd, 3 of his 4 career wins have been here, and defending series champ Terry Labonte. Jeff Gordon has his lowest start since April of '94, and Mike Skinner alongside in the 12th row. 13th row, Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt. Row number 14, Jeff Burton and Greg Sachs, and in the 15th row, Bobby Labonte and Kyle Petty.
16th row, Michael Walter, driving with Wood Brothers, won 12 times here. Chad Little on the outside. John Andretti, Gary Bradbury back in row 17. Kenny Schrader, he's won here. Ward Burton in row 18. Row 19, we find the Wallace brothers. Mike on the inside, Rusty on the outside. Back in the 20th row, Steve Grissom, Johnny Benson, and Brett Bodine, Joe Nemechek, the last row.
The last 4 drivers took provisional starts to get into this field. The drivers who unfortunately did not make the field: number 7, Robert Presley, Derek Cope, Bobby Hillen, Wally Dallenbach, Ed Barrier, Dave Marcus, and Mike Miller. Dale Earnhardt has started 20th or worst here at Atlanta several times. He started 31st in March of 1980, but look, he won the race. In March of 91, he started 21st and finished 3rd. In November of 94, he was 30th, so it really doesn't make any difference where Dale Earnhardt starts on this track. He usually is very competitive. We're just about set for the green flag and 328 laps of competition in the PRIMESTAR 500. The green flag is out. Gordon has never led a competitive NASCAR Winston Cup lap. He brings his car off corner number 4, and he will make that right now. He leads the first lap.
And Huck Trickle, the red number 8 car on the inside of Darrell Walter, and there goes a pass for the lead. Mark Martin, the Valvoline Ford, blows by Gordon to take over the number 1 spot.
Gordon got a good jump at the start of the race and led lap number 1, but now Mark Martin takes command as the field begins to sort out behind. The 16 car of Ted Musgrave is on the move. He's worked up to 6th position. This is the PRIMESTAR onboard camera. We're looking ahead to Darrell Waltrip, who has dropped back a position.
Tim Musgrave, we hear the accelerator back off as he goes in the corner. Cannot run these cars wide open around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we see Kenny Wallace, the square D car on the inside of Bodine.
There is Lake Speed, Jimmy Spencer, Dale Jarrett also in this group of cars. Jeff Bodine and Kenny Wallace race side by side now. Bodine pulls ahead briefly, but Kenny Wallace fights back on the inside.
That's Ernie Irvin in the 28 car in front of the 37 of Jeremy Mayfield, and Irvin going to the outside of Spencer.
That red number 9 car there, driven by Lake Speed, had an incident in the pit area before happy hour yesterday with Billy Standridge and damaged the car a little bit. Not enough to go to a backup car. So Lake Speed has an original starting position.
And we see Dale Jarrett going into the 6th spot.
Meanwhile, it looks like that Mark Martin has pulled several car lengths ahead. The battle is for 3rd position. That's Hut Strickland, the Circuit City car, number 8, to the inside of Dick Trickle, and takes over 3rd spot.
Ernie Irvin still trying to make his way to the front, gets by Spencer. Now tries to get on the inside of Lake Speed, can't do it.
Tries it once again, and he'll be more successful this time. Coming off the 2nd corner, got a good run there. Very long corners here at Atlanta. The straightaways total a half a mile, whereas the long sweeping 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th corners total a mile. So you're mostly in a corner here. Field summary will show you where everyone is running at the moment, and the numbers in parenthesis indicate where they started. Dale Jarrett is on the move. He moves into 4th position, putting Dick Trickle back to 5th. quite a bit of racetrack between Dale Jarrett and the next place car of Hut Strickland, running in 3rd position.
Right now, folks, the man on the move is Dale Earnhardt. There we saw the 37 just a moment ago. Jeremy Mayfield, Earnhardt already by him. Earnhardt in 14th spot, going to 13th as he gets by Jimmy Spencer.
He started in 26th position. Now, you heard documented he had the 43rd fastest speed during first round of qualifying, but he came back yesterday to set the fastest second round qualifying mark and started 26th, but he has already found 13 positions since the drop of the green flag. There's the defending NASCAR Winston Cup champion of the number 5 car, Terry Labonte, and here is Ernie Irvan making a move. And there is Earnhardt back in 13th position. As Earnhardt continues his march to the front here, he gets to the inside of Lake Speed.
Boy, Earnhardt's car is looking so good. Comes off the corner. Seems like he's able to take the car to the bottom of the racetrack with ease.
There's the interval from that car back to the leader. Robbie Gordon is staying right with the leader of the race, Mark Martin. Just a couple of car lengths separate the first two. 9 laps out of 328 completed here at Atlanta.
The PRIMESTAR 500. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by PRIMESTAR, mini dish satellite entertainment with no dish to buy. Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine. Napa Auto Parts, we keep America running. And Team Monte Carlo, Chevy, the cars more champions trust.
The PRIMESTAR 500, you saw just as we went to break from Mark Martin's onboard camera, Robbie Gordon pass and retake the lead. And now the first 4 are very close together. And let's take a look at how Robbie got by Mark.
Mark Martin goes in the corner, drifts up just a little bit. Robbie Gordon turned the Chevrolet under, comes off the corner, takes the lead.
And Jerry Punch has more.
When that happened, Mark Martin cued the radio and said 3 words: I almost wrecked. The crew came back and said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" He said, "The car is very, very loose entering the corner."
Well, he hangs on to second position, but Hut Strickland and Dale Jarrett are right there on his back bumper. We're watching Jeff Gordon move up through the field. He is currently in 18th position in the number 24 car.
Started in 23rd spot. There we see all the cars that he just has passed. There we see Morgan Shepherd in the 1 car as Bill Elliott goes by on the outside. Jeremy Mayfield, the white and blue 37, and Kenny Wallace, the 81 car. Ricky Rudd comes into this battle. And there's the car they say is the fastest. The green car on the inside. Bobby Labonte, the winner here last November.
Well, Labonte was fastest in the first practice period that they had here prior to the first round of qualifying. Did not qualify all that well, but the car appears to be racing well today. Morgan Shepherd goes under Kenny Wallace in the backstretch, and now here comes Bobby Labonte to do the same. Up front, meanwhile, we've got some more close racing.
See Hut Strickland and Dale Jarrett as they try to close in, running on board with Jarrett. Looks like he's got a piece of paper in the area that the air goes into the carburetor.
It's a windy day here in Atlanta, and we're going to see perhaps hot dog wrappers and such forth from the grandstand on the racetrack. Here's a battle between Bobby Hamilton in car 43 and Jeff Bodine in number 7. That's the battle for 10th position.
And you see Terry Labonte right in front of those cars. And it looks like right now that Labonte might be gaining on Dale Earnhardt.
Labonte started back in 22nd position, is up to 9th.
There we see the defending NASCAR Winston Cup champion, Terry Labonte.
Labonte, after starting 22nd by the 3rd lap, it moved up to 17th, stayed there for a few laps, and moved to 14th and 12th, and is currently in 9th position. So, Benny, we are seeing already those thunderstorms rumbling as some of the drivers who didn't qualify all that well are moving up toward the front.
Yes, they are going towards the front. There we see Jeff Gordon taking another spot away as he goes by Jimmy Spencer.
And that's Darrell Waltrip there in the number 17 car. Here's a side-by-side battle. Jeff Burton and Jeff Bodine.
And Jeff Burton trying to take that spot away. Looks like he will take it as they come off the corner. Gordon taking a look on the inside of Waltrip.
Waltrip had expressed hope that the car, after qualifying in third position, could stay there for the first part of the race, but he has backslidden now to the 13th position. Gordon takes a look to the inside and tries to take that spot away from him.
On the pole on the screen, you'll see the speeds that each car ran the last time by. Our leader, 171.708 average speed. Mark Martin a little bit faster than that. The 8 car, Hut Strickland, faster than that. And Ernie Irvin was, in fact, the fastest car.
Yes, he was. Ernie Irvin there in 6th position had the fastest lap, that last one that we timed. Here are Earnhardt and Terry Labonte. Labonte with a good run. Earnhardt currently occupying 8th. Labonte was catching and now has caught Earnhardt, but passing him is another story.
Well, yesterday afternoon in the last practice, the 5-car Metallic car blew an engine, but the team did not seem to be overly concerned about that. If the car was not right, had they been concerned, there would have been a lot of apprehension in their face. They laughed and joked about it, so that meant that their car was okay. And he's proven today that it is okay as he continues towards the front.
The team took it very philosophically, saying, well, it's better to happen during happy hour, the final practice period, than during the race itself. Labonte now looking low, Dale Earnhardt, but not able to make the move at the moment.
Racetrack, Terry Labonte up on the top of the racetrack. 2 entire different lines around the corners. This Atlanta Motor Speedway, very, very wide corners, and the drivers can run a variety of places around the racetrack. If the car doesn't handle on the bottom, they can go to the top or vice versa.
Gordon continues to lead now with about a 2 or 3 car length advantage on Mark Martin. Hut Strickland still running in 3rd spot, and Dale Jarrett is in 4th.
And Jarrett has lost a couple of car lengths from the picture we saw just a couple of laps ago. Ever see Darrell Waltrip come by?
Darrell Waltrip has fallen back to 12th position, Jerry.
We heard Mark Martin say his car was loose entering the corner. Darrell has the opposite problem. His car is tight from the middle of the corner coming out, which means he turns the steering wheel and the car doesn't want to turn. But a moment ago, Darrell radioed in and said, hey, this upper line, the high line is coming in. I've moved up high, and I've picked up quite a bit of speed running up near the wall. Let's check in with Jackaroo.
And Jerry, that choice by Waltrip of an upper line did not go unmissed by Jeff Gordon. He radioed to Ray Evernham and said, does the high line work yet? And all Evernham said is, the only guy that's doing it is Waltrip. Jeff said, well, I'll try it. The problem, though, for this team right now is the fact that the car is tight almost all the way around the racetrack, Benny.
And we can see that Darrell Waltrip is, a moment ago we saw Jeff Gordon trying to pass Darrell Waltrip just a few laps ago. And now Waltrip has pulled off to a 15, 20 car length advantage on Jeff Gordon. So yes, the high group is working well for Darrell Waltrip. But Jeff Gordon can't take his car up there and get it to react the same way that Waltrip's car reacted.
Great side-by-side battle ahead of Darrell Waltrip between Jeff Bodine and Bobby Hamilton. Darrell Waltrip tested here and was so happy with the car after the test that he didn't want to take it from here, thinking there would be something go wrong with the car in the transport back to the shop. There are first and second. It continues to be Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter here at Atlanta, leading this race and eligible for $30,400 in Unocal bonus money if he can go on and win today's 500 miles. And there is Earnhardt, who has moved up from 26th to 7th position in the first 28 laps of the PRIMESTAR 500. From Atlanta Motor Speedway, we'll be right back. From his face cam, you can see the current leader of the PRIMESTAR 500 here in Atlanta and the pole sitter, Robbie Gordon, from Cerritos, California, over from the Kart PPG Open Wheel Series and making his mark today in NASCAR Winston Cup competition.
Well, I tell you what, it's like it's so easy. Just turn the car into the corner. Easy. And we look behind. There's Mark Martin as he looks back at Hut Strickland. We're riding along with the second place car.
Just missing the air up bad enough for everybody behind him. It's just hard to pass.
And Ernie Irvin goes by Dick Trickle, takes over the 5th spot. So now we have the Yates cars, Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvin running 4th and 5th.
Another national field summary for you. Ernie Irvin started 17th. He's now moved up to 5th position. Here in the second 5, you can see some real good movements. Earnhardt from 26th to 2nd. Terry Labonte from 22nd up into the top 10. And Jeff Gordon has improved his positions also.
And we see that Terry Labonte had caught Dale Earnhardt. Looks like he was going to go by him and go on, but now he's caught Earnhardt, and either Earnhardt changed his line or these cars both have slowed down.
There is Ted Musgrave.
He's our 9th place car. Rusty Wallace still back in the 45th spot, not able to make a huge charge towards the front.
Here's the group that includes Jeff Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott, the home state favorite who is from Dawsonville, just north of here. And behind Bill Elliott is Jeff Gordon, who started 27th.
And look at Elliott dive down to the inside, see if he can do something on the bottom of the racetrack. Can't work, doesn't work for him. Actually lost a spot at car length to Walter.
Bobby Labonte is losing positions now. He was one of the fastest cars out there. Has been all weekend, as a matter of fact, but is now backslidden a little bit. There's Ricky Rudd and Jimmy Spencer running side by side. And Morgan Shepherd looking on in the #1 car.
That's 18th, 19th, 20th. And right now, the racetrack just does not seem to be the place to run.
Yeah, it looks like that high line that Bill Waltrip is using, among others, is the place to be at the moment. Bobby Labonte, there he is running behind Michael Waltrip. Bill, what's the problem with Labonte? He's lost some positions recently.
But he's very happy with his car. He knows he's got one of the fastest cars here. He has told his crew that this track is extremely slick. So right now, he just wants to take his time. He doesn't want to get in any trouble this early in the race. He's happy with the car. It's the track he's not real thrilled about right now.
What a tremendous celebration and what a tremendous scene in the world of sports. Last November, when Bobby Labonte drove to the victory here at this race, in the same race that Terry Labonte won the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Let's check the speeds out here on this lap. We'll see if our suspicion of Ernie Irvin being one of the fastest drivers out there is...
right now, he's just a little bit slower than the leader, Robbie Gordon.
But second fastest, yeah.
But both those cars, only the 2 cars in the 170-mile-per-hour range. And Jeff Gordon trying to get by the 43 car of Hamilton. Goes by on the outside. Bill Elliott all of a sudden was trying to pass Darrell Waltrip. He's now losing spots.
3 wide. Here is Ernie Irvin moving by his teammate Dale Jarrett. taking over the 4th position.
Just look at those two speeds, the 28 and the 88. Last time the 28 was 170 miles per hour. He lost 2.5 miles per hour that time by passing another car, because you just simply can't use the whole racetrack here when there's another car inside or outside of you, and you can see just how much it slows down when you start trying to pass other cars.
Check the speeds again this lap and see how they compare. Should be a little faster, right, Benny?
It ought to be. 169.3, still not quite as fast as the leader and Mark Martin.
But now Dale Jarrett makes a challenge to the outside of Irvin, but now settles back in behind him.
We'll check this one more time. Now, the last time he might have lost some of the speed as he passed Dale Jarrett off turn 4. This has been a good, clean lap all by himself. Here comes the leaders off the corner. There's Robbie Gordon as he goes by, starts the clock. And yes, we see both the 28 and 88, well, the 8 and 28 this time faster than the leaders. And Hutch Strickland was the fastest car that time. Actually, we go back to the 10th place car was the fastest car.
Yep. Terry Labonte over 170, and also Darrell Waltrip. 43 laps completed out of 328 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Robbie Gordon, Mark Martin, Hutch Strickland, Ernie Irvin, and Dale Jarrett. We'll be right back.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, debris on the racetrack brings out the first caution flag today. 46 and 8, top 3 cars in the pit. The 40, Robbie Gordon, top of your screen, left side tires going on. Likewise, the Valvoline Ford of Mark Martin, who had a problem. Gordon is out, Martin is out, and now Strickland is down and away. The pit stop, the best one of the 3, Robbie Gordon, 19.9 seconds. Then Strickland, 20.4, and Martin, 22.5. A tire rolls out down toward the wall, and Jeff Bodine's car is coming along. There's a tire rolling around the concrete wall, guys, and a miscue here on the first pit stop of the day.
Looks like the left rear tire is off Jeff Bodine's car.
Yes, indeed. He backs up into his assigned stall, but the left rear is gone from Jeff Bodine's QVC4. Back to Jerry.
Well, he backs the car up. He's actually dragging on the axle, and the exhaust pipes are dragging. You're exactly right, Bob and Benny. The left rear tire came off. They dropped the jack, and now they put a pry bar underneath the left side of the car to try to pry the QVC Ford up. Oh my, what a disappointment for Jeff Bodine with that great qualifying run, trying to follow up on that second place finish last week at Richmond, Virginia. They still have not gotten the car off. They get help from the PRIMESTAR crew, and he will go a lap down here as the field comes by the start-finish line under the first caution of the day, the first round of pit stops, and Jeff Bodine will go one lap down as they get that left rear tire on, and the field passes by.
Tough break. Now we see there's some damage to the left rear fender, the left rear quarter panel. They're trying to bend that out because that will act as a parachute as he goes around the racetrack. He will catch air and slow the car considerably.
And still, Jeff Bodine sits on pit road, and everything that he had gained on the track goes by the wayside. He was running in 12th position when this caution for debris came out. So Bodine still waits as the track is under caution at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll take a break and be back in a moment. Just as you rejoin us, you see the pace car pulling off the racetrack, and the command from the spotter to go, go, go. The green waves again at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we're back to competition on the 51st lap.
Inside, Billy Standridge. The lead of the race still Robbie Gordon. Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon trying to work their way towards the front. That's 11th spot.
Up front, meanwhile, it is Robbie Gordon still leading, but that's Dale Jarrett now running in second spot. Hutch Strickland is third, and Jarrett moves to the inside of Gordon out in turn number 4. And as they come down the straightaway, Dale Jarrett is the leader of the race. It's incredible, but Dale Jarrett has led more than 50% of the total laps run entering this event, and he did not lead a single lap at Daytona. It gives you an indication of how well he has run in the last 2 races.
And right now, Jeff Bodine got alongside Robbie Gordon, moved Gordon up the racetrack, and now he's losing 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. The 7 car, QBC car, we saw this one go get a lap now. All the racing stars past Robbie Gordon, 4th position.
An update on what happened during that disastrous pit stop of Jeff Bodine from Dr. Punch.
We're with Jeff's crew chief, Pat Tryson. And Pat, what happened during the pit stop?
We just had a little miscommunication. The rear tire changer wasn't on. The jack man looked at the jack down, and the tire came off when it came off pit road.
How bad's the car hurt? Anything bent in the back?
Seems like everything's all right. He hasn't said too much right now, but we're just waiting to hear. Seems like everything.
All right, the driver talking to Pat Tryson. Apparently, it is only cosmetic damage as the Yates cars now show out first and second.
And we have side-by-side racing, almost 3 wide there at one time, as Earnhardt looked like he was going to go 3 wide, but did not. That's Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt. Here comes Michael Waltrip in the 21 car. Bill Elliott in there also. And we ride now with Michael Waltrip in the Citgo onboard camera.
And you see Kenny Schrader down to the inside, got a great run off the corner. Kenny Schrader currently in 16th spot.
And he started 35th. And Jeff Bodine's car is not operating. You see him there at the top of the racetrack, and nearly everyone is going by him. Dale Jarrett now is the leader. Back to Robert Yates. Cars are running first and second. Here's the battle for third spot. Strickland, Jeff Burton, and Mark Martin along with Robbie Gordon. Here's the statistics on Dale Jarrett. Only driver to complete every lap run this season. Had led only 14 laps and 18 starts here at Atlanta. But he has the car out front here. And now we see this battle once again. Originally, this was for first and second early in the race, and now it becomes a battle for the 5th position as Mark Martin has 5th and Robbie Gordon wants it.
From Mark Martin's car, we look back at Robbie Gordon. And there's a battle for the 3rd spot. Jeff Burton takes it ahead off Huck Strickland. And the 99 car here last year in this race did not qualify for the PRIMESTAR 500.
He started 27th in this race. South Boston, Virginia driver is doing very well. Jeff Bodine is still having problems, Doc.
Well, indeed, Bobby said the car now really vibrating on him. He thinks he may have a tire going down. He radioed and told the crew, "I'll be in next time by," but he flashed by him on the racetrack. He is way off the pace with a vibration in the back of the car and possibly a tire going down.
Well, that car has help in the engine department this year from Bob Glidden, the legendary drag racer. He is helping not only the 7 car of Jeff Bodine, but also the 8 car of Huck Strickland. They're simply trying to provide more horsepower for the car. And not only Bob Glidden, but his 2 sons, Billy and Rusty, are here this week helping out.
And they're running an R&D program for Bodine. There we see Sterling Marlin in front of this pack, the 4 car. Looks like Greg Sachs right behind them. Yes, it is. There's Bradbury. There's Mike Wallace in the 91 car.
And this is the first race of the 97 season for Mike Wallace there in the 91 car sponsored by Spam. He failed to qualify for the first 3 events of this year. That's Brett Bodine in the number 11 car running behind him. And once again, we have a Huck Strickland and Mark Martin battle. This is for 4th.
And the 24 car, Jeff Gordon is off the pace. Gordon slows in turn 3 down on the apron of the racetrack.
The 1995 NASCAR Winston Cup champion and the current points leader. He won 2 of the first 3 races of the 97 season. But something has gone wrong with the DuPont Chevy. Bill?
And they've radioed for Jeff Gordon to come down pit road, waiting for Gordon to get to his pits. Haven't got a word on what the problem is, but as soon as we do, we'll relay it to you.
He's going behind the wall. He's not even stopping in his assigned pit area. He's taking the car behind the wall.
Look at the crowd as they make the noise. And yesterday afternoon, the 5 car The 5-car lost an engine. Could it be the same problem? Bill Weber?
Right on, Benny. Said the motor just let go. He's got it behind the wall here. Hood is up. Told the crew the motor just simply let go. Jeff sits in the car. Window net's still up. They look under the hood. Now they lower the hood. Jeff Gordon, the points leader, on pit road behind the wall. Off come the gloves. Jeff removing the helmet. Very disappointed, obviously. Still sitting in the car. This car has been virtually bulletproof, the entire team for that matter. But here at Atlanta, this track may have gotten them today. And we've talked about how you have to be consistent to win the championship. Well, you know you're going to have trouble somewhere along the way. Today, Jeff Gordon has had some.
And there's so many statistics you could go over at this point. 3 consecutive top 5 finishes, including 2 wins. And led at least 1 lap in the last 4 races. And a 4.33 average finish in the last 6 races. But it looks like that Jeff Gordon's day may be over. The DuPont Chevy behind the wall, and it's being pushed behind the wall into, apparently, the garage area. So we'll take another break here at Atlanta Motor Speedway and be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. It's event number 4 of the 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup Series. The PRIMESTAR 500 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. And the overhead shots today are being presented by Pennzoil. The Pennzoil Copter Cam bringing us these beautiful shots of Atlanta Motor Speedway, located about 30 miles south of downtown Atlanta. Coming up next here on ABC from Daytona International Speedway, the International Race of Champions, the first of 4 races this year. 12 identically prepared cars and drivers from all forms of racing. And Benny Parsons, Paul Page, and Jack Arute will have the coverage next here on ABC Sports. Bill Weber is standing by with Jeff Gordon.
And Jeff was able to manage a smile when he climbed from the DuPont Chevy. First of all, what happened?
Well, all you can do is smile about it. You know, there's always another day, and you know, it only takes a thing like this for us to really gonna have to fight back hard. But DuPont Chevrolet was running awesome today, and I really felt like we had a shot at it. We needed a pit stop. We got that. Worked on it a little bit, and we were marching our way to the front. Come off of turn 2 over there, man, the motor just grenade. I mean, it's a huge vibration explosion. But, you know, luckily it happened off the corner. We're going to look at it to see if it's the same that happened to Terry yesterday.
Obviously, that's something you'd want to check because he did lose a motor in final practice.
And it felt like it was a rod because I could tell it was coming out the bottom. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but hey, just can't ever quit. That just shows you those 2 wins, and that 4th doesn't mean anything when something like this happens. So you know, we're gonna be strong, and we're gonna fight all year long. And these are the things that happen, and we'll go to the next one and get after it.
You warned us, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I felt like everybody's making too big of a deal out of that, but it was sure nice. I'm glad we have those wins though, because it doesn't hurt us as bad. But you know, we'll be all right. Hendrick Motorsports builds the best engines, and I'm very confident in them. They're making great horsepower out there, and we've been fortunate. And every once in a while, you got to blow one up.
All right, Jeff Gordon out of the race. Jack Arute.
Well, Bill Weber, during that last pit stop, the Yates team, both Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvan, did not make any major chassis modifications to the car. No adjustments at all. But what's interesting is both drivers are getting somewhat different tire wear. For Ernie Irvan, the caution couldn't come at a better time because 2 laps before that, he radioed to his crew and said, "My tires have given out." But for Dale Jarrett, after the tires came off the car, they inspected him and said, "We're getting very, very good tire wear." As we watched the run, we noticed that Irvan closed to well within Dale Jarrett's lead position. But now it's settled down. We're getting deeper into this window on tires, and Irvan's have begun to go away.
They indeed have, as Jeff Burton has come up to challenge Ernie Irvan for 2nd position. Just a couple of final notes on Jeff Gordon. First of all, if points were awarded right now, and of course we're a long way from the end of this race, he would slip to 4th in the point standings. And 1 make of each car will go to the wind tunnel after this race as NASCAR does a little testing, and his will be the Chevy that goes to the wind tunnel.
Check those speeds that we see that Dale Jarrett is the fastest car, 171.9. The five car, 172 miles per hour. So here comes Terry Labonte as he marches toward the front. Michael Waltrip, 171.5, and Michael is running about 200 yards around the racetrack, higher than anywhere else. Watch it, he goes in the corner, right up high off the corner, and tries to go by Earnhardt on the outside. What a difference in lines.
He's got a good run on Dale Earnhardt here on that high line. Let's see if he can take over that position in turn number 1.
Michael goes right to the top of the gray stuff. Now, he'll be able to get a grip off the corner that Earnhardt cannot get, and he will take that spot away.
That 7th position, Michael Waltrip is in 7th after starting in 31st position. And Earnhardt fights right back on the inside. Can't make the pass, though. Second place changes as Jeff Burton takes the number 99 car to the inside of Ernie Irvan and goes to the runner-up spot, now behind Dale Jarrett. Jeff Burton got off to such a great start last year, and then, as you mentioned, Benny, failed to qualify for this event. There is the leader of the race, Dale Jarrett. 7 top 3 finishes in his last 10 events, and has finished on the lead lap in the last 8 events, of course, going back to last season. Here comes Schrader, Elliott, and the new paint job on Ward Burton's car.
That's the 16th place car, Ward Burton. Something about a gold credit card, isn't it?
Yeah, NASCAR Gold MasterCard. Special edition to commemorate the introduction of the NASCAR Gold MasterCard and the Atlanta Speedway Gold MasterCard.
Dick Trickle, the 90 car, still running well. Right now, Trickle in 13th spot. This time when the cars come by, we'll put the interval between the leader and the rest of the cars all the way back to the 10th spot. We see that he has over a 2.5-second lead on Jeff Burton, and he has over a 9-second lead on Robbie Gordon, the 40 car.
Gordon, after that restart from the caution that we had for debris on the racetrack, has fallen back to 10th position and 9 seconds behind the leader. Comes the AutoZone on-track interval comparing laps 76 through 79, Jarrett and Burton, and the interval went from 2.1 to 2.6.
You see, let me just show you the point. 32.2, Jeff Burton. That's the one. That's the lap that just absolutely killed him. You can't do that. He lost 0.4 of a second at one lap, and he only lost 0.5 of a second, a half second in the 4 laps.
And look how consistent the lap is for Jarrett. 31.9, 31.8, 31.8, 31.8. Can't get much more consistent than that.
No. And
Ward Burton, Jimmy Spencer, and Morgan Shepherd here.
And the 5 car. Terry Labonte has just gone by Ernie Irvan, taking over the 3rd spot, so he continues his charge toward the front. But I think his feet's probably getting a little nervous right now because he has the same engine, should have the same engine in his car that he lost yesterday afternoon and that Jeff Gordon lost just a few laps ago.
Jack Root has another report on Ernie Irvan, who's now slipped back to 4th place.
Well, Bob, it's just a confirmation of what we suspected as we got deeper in here. I checked with Robert Yates. Robert said, indeed, the tires are beginning to go away again. He remarked, though, that because they did not make any changes, it was not unexpected. Planned for some changes in the next pit stop on Ernie Irvan's car.
Here's Bobby Labonte racing to the inside of Darrell Waltrip and going into 11th position. Waltrip back to 12th. Now Bobby Labonte has his sights set on Robbie Gordon, who's just a few car lengths away there in 10th.
Darrell still running that high line. Goes to the corner high. Continues through the corner. Gordon came off the corner in the middle of the racetrack, still running the bottom of the racetrack.
And both Labonte and Waldrop go up there and close in on Robbie Gordon.
Yes, so Robbie Gordon is getting a great education today on the art of driving a stock car at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
He is young, but has a great future ahead of him in NASCAR Winston Cup racing if he stays with it. The lead continues to be held by Dale Jarrett in the PRIMESTAR 500. From the 1.52-mile Atlanta Motor Speedway, we welcome you back to coverage of the PRIMESTAR 500. 91 laps out of 328 completed, and the leader is Dale Jarrett. Jarrett is cruising along. Now, his teammate, we heard Jack Arute report that his teammate Ernie Irvin's tires are going away. He's already fallen back to 4th position, but Jerry Punch, that's not the case with his teammate.
Not at all, Bob. You know, before that pit stop, Dale Jarrett had said the car was a little bit tight, meaning he was scrubbing off speed trying to get the car to turn in the corners. To tell you how minute an adjustment can make a huge difference, they made a 1-pound air pressure change in the right rear and a 1-pound air pressure change in the left front and left rear. And DJ says now the car is perfect, and he is indeed checking out.
Rusty Wallace started this race back in 38th position. He was the slowest qualifier to get into the field. Right now, he is running in 26th position.
So he's gained 12 spots, but we would think that, you know, Rusty Wallace, if he's got the car to win the race, would be up in the top 10. So obviously, he is struggling today with his Miller Lite Ford. There we see is on the back bumper of Steve Grissom.
Rusty won the race just last weekend in Richmond, Virginia on the 3/4-mile track. Elevating himself to 10th in the point standings. And there you see the top 10 and their make-up car. Jarrett and Burton are first and second in the Ford. Labonte has the best Chevy in third.
As we watch as Sterling Marlin makes a pit stop. And there's a great battle between the two runs at 10. Ward Burton in 22. Looks like Ted Musgrave in the 16th car. That's 18th, 19th, 20th.
Sterling Marlin is in the pits, Ben. He just went a lap down.
And they've changed 4 tires on the Kodak Film Chevrolet. As soon as these cars will go a lap down to the leaders, they will go in, and look, they're having trouble. They're looking out of the rear of the car doing something.
Long pit stop for Sterling, finally gets away, and this is going to drop him another lap down at least. Ted Musgrave, meanwhile, is running in 20th position. He was up in the top 10 before that first caution, but has dropped back here recently.
Yes, he has, and he tries to close in on the back bumper of the Pontiac, driven by Ward Burton. Goes to the inside and closes up and might take the spot away. Coming down the front stretch right in front of us. And there they go.
They're side by side, and finally Musgrave gets around Ward Burton and takes over the 18th spot.
There's John Andretti in the 98 car, Lake Speed in the 9 car.
John Andretti will celebrate his 34th birthday on Wednesday. We're riding along now with Ricky Craven, who's running currently in 20th spot. This is the 3rd member of the Rick Hendrick stable. Jeff Gordon already out of the race. Terry Labonte is running 4th, and Ricky Craven is running in 20th position. Ricky started 13th, so he has lost 7 spots since the drop of the green flag. Now he comes up on Ward Burton, and there's Johnny Benson.
Yeah, well, Johnny Benson took a provisional to get in the show today. Started way back in 40th spot.
And Jack has an update on Sterling Marlin.
Well, Bob, Sterling Marlin had to come in because he had no choice. The rear sway bar had vibrated loose, and the car was just unmanageable. I asked the team if they fixed it, and they said, we hope so.
He had only run 42 laps since his last stop before that problem occurred. He now finds himself 2 laps down in the 39th position. But the car seems to be running well now.
Well, with those fresh tires, he's going to be the fastest car on the racetrack by far for a few laps as he's blown by Kyle Petty's Pontiac. But in about 5 or 10 laps, then he'll start losing that advantage he had with the new tires. Brand new tires, cold tires, are so much faster here at this racetrack than the hot used ones.
Dale Jarrett continues to lead. He's lapping Gary Bradbury, or trying to lap Gary.
Right now, Bradbury, 32nd spot.
So with the pass, there are now 31 cars on the lead lap as 100 laps have been completed. There's the interval back to second position, and it's held by Jeff Burton. And we have a crash involving Greg Sachs.
Over in turns 1 and 2, that's down on the apron of the racetrack between 1 and 2. He sees back the car in the corner.
And the caution is out, although Greg Sachs continues to move around the speedway. But for the second time this afternoon here on the 103rd lap, the caution comes out. And here is Brett Bodine in car number 11, passing the leader and trying to get the lap back, and he does. He is back on the lead lap.
Both he and Gary Bradbury both were able to get back on the lead lap. And there we see the damage to the Hardy's Ford of Greg Sachs.
Sachs bringing the car into the pit area, dropping down off the banking on turn number 4. Here's the shot that we have of the crash. He's already come in contact with the wall. It looked like that was right ahead of Sterling Marlin.
It looked like Sterling Marlin had gotten under the 20 car. They might have been some contact.
Yeah, the report is that there's smoke coming from the 4 car, so that could indicate that there was indeed contact between Sachs and Marlin. Oh, quite a bit of damage there on the right front.
Yeah, we see the damage to the right front. There it is. And the right front tire is rubbing the fender. I don't think there's a lot of damage to the 4 car, but it might affect it aerodynamically.
So that 5-second lead that Dale Jarrett had built up on Jeff Burton now goes by the wayside, and we stand by for more pit stops here as everybody will want to come in and get on some fresh tires and fill up with fuel.
Well, let's see if Floyd waves that green flag. Must have, because all the cars diving for pit road.
The speed limit on pit road is 55 miles an hour. That's what they must maintain until they reach their pit stall. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Once again, Jeff Burton flexing his muscle in Atlanta. He brings the Excite Ford into the pits. The 88, 99, and the 28 stacked on your screen. Right side for Jeff Burton. They're taking a half pound out of the right front tire. They come around to the left side. Their last pit stop was 18.2 seconds. Down to Jerry Punch.
Well, Dale Jarrett said his car was so good they don't plan any adjustments whatsoever on his car. The 99 car is out. Ernie Irvin now getting left side tires. Left side going up on Dale Jarrett's Ford Credit Thunderbird. Left front, left rear lug nuts on. Ernie Irvin is down and away. Jarrett is down and away. 55 miles an hour. They head back toward turn 1.
And you would think that perhaps the Yates team makes pit stops and practices them together. They had exactly the same time.
And Bobby Hamilton and Jimmy Spencer make contact on pit road.
Cars coming out now. John Andretti coming out. That's the last car to leave pit road. Well, there is one sitting there. And let's take a look at what happened here, Benny.
Yeah, the cars are coming out. We see Jimmy Spencer back there. Watch Spencer as he comes down pit road. And Hamilton comes out right there, and boom, they make contact, and Spencer runs into the pit wall, the wall between the racetrack and pit road.
So obviously some damage done to the Jimmy Spencer car after that collision on pit road, and now those cars that are a lap down are allowed to come into the pits and get fresh tires. We'll take another break and be right back at Atlanta Motor Speedway. PrimeStar 500 is under caution here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the second time this afternoon. Pennzoil Copter Cam has our overhead shot of a beautiful Atlanta Motor Speedway. There, the new condos have been built over in what is now turn number 2. Well, Saturday at 4:30, 3:30 Central on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the World Cup Alpine Skiing Finals from Vail, Colorado, featuring the men's giant slalom. Then the Florida Derby presented by Visa. The early Kentucky Derby favorite Pulpit never raced as a 2-year-old. He's undefeated now at 3-0. Plus highlights of the Special Olympics World Winter Games. And as a bonus, Wide World Classic has wrist wrestling. That's at 4:30 next Saturday, 3:30 Central on ABC's Wide World of Sports. The top 10 at the moment: Dale Jarrett, Ernie Irvin, Jeff Burton, Terry Labonte, and Mark Martin. 6 through 10, Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Hamilton, and Bill Elliott. One more lap and we'll be back to racing. This caution was caused by a crash involving Greg Sachs, who hit the wall over in turn number 2. And then the collision on pit road involving Jimmy Spencer and Bobby Hamilton.
And Spencer has been back into the pits with his 23 car, and they checked it over.
Jack Arute has more.
Bob, let's update you first on Dale Earnhardt. They made some major changes. They took some bite out of the car, and they also took some pressure out of the rear tires. And when you take bite out of the car, you guys know you're literally trying to loosen the car up. But for Terry Labonte's team, what they decided to do was take 1 pound of air pressure out of the rear of the tires. I asked Gary Dehart as to why, and he said, well, the car, we want to try and experiment with it right now, see what taking 1 pound out will do. We may need that later in the race. Let's check in with Jerry Punch real quick.
A number of drivers are trying to lobby through their car owners or crew chiefs, and one of those is Ernie Irvin. And Ernie has talked to you, Robert Yates. What is he saying about the racetrack?
Well, he says, you know, it's starting to get where they might think about sweeping it later on today if you get a caution. When you're moving from the high groove to low groove, it gets pretty exciting, maybe too exciting.
Okay, what they're saying, indeed, what he's talking about, there are marbles, what they call marbles, little chunks of rubber up high on the racetrack. And so later on, they've asked maybe that NASCAR, in one of the subsequent caution flags, if there are some, would bring the blower out and actually blow the racetrack off so you could run up near the wall if you wanted to.
And running on those little marbles or little pebbles is like running on ice to you and me.
Exactly right. Jack Arute was talking about air pressure. When they put air pressure in these tires, they make the tire firmer or add spring to the car. That is an aid that they use to adjust the chassis on these cars, simply adding or subtracting air pressure in the tire.
On the 108th lap, we are back to racing here at Atlanta. Dale Jarrett moves back out front.
And here comes Jeff Bodine. Remember, he lost that lap 40-50 laps ago.
As a matter of fact, that problem he experienced has dropped him 4 laps back on the field, so he's got a long way to go to get back on the lead lap. Car runs right now pretty well. Here are Mark Martin and Jeff Burton, teammates for Jack Roush, running right beside each other. And then the other duo there, Michael Waltrip in 21 and Dale Earnhardt in 3.
Earnhardt going by Martin on the outside.
And Michael Waltrip does the same thing.
And now Earnhardt takes a look on the inside. Can't get by. Meanwhile, Michael Waltrip does make the pass on Mark Martin.
And that Citgo Ford up ahead of Mark Martin is owned by the Wood brothers, and they lead in terms of number of wins by car owners. They have 12 victories at this racetrack. We now ride with Michael.
And Rusty Wallace, there's Rusty Wallace right at the start-finish line. He was 26th when the caution flag waved on the pit stops. He moved up to 17th position. Right now he's in 16th position.
Bill, what adjustments did they make to his car?
Bob, I just talked to the crew. They said Rusty's been a little tight, so they made an air pressure adjustment in the tires. They also made a wedge adjustment, and they also pointed out there are more than 200 laps to go in this race, saying that they're fine, confident Rusty's to the front.
That's a very good point. There's a long way to go, and so they have a lot of time to make adjustments and get that car just right.
Ever see Ricky Craven dive to the inside of Rusty Ross? That's Craven. Red, white, 25. And here comes Earnhardt on the inside, trying to get on the inside of Jeff Burton. That's for 4th place.
Third, fourth, and fifth right there. Terry Labonte, Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt. In comes Michael Waltrip. Round qualifying, started 26th, now 5th.
And there's Hut Strickland, the 8th. But remember how well he run early on, qualified 5th, ran to the top 5 early on. Now he's back in 12th spot. So I wonder what's happened here. And here comes Earnhardt on the inside of Labonte. He will take that spot away, move him into the 4th spot.
Terry Labonte drops back to 5th, and now may get a challenge from Michael Waltrip and Mark Martin. Here comes another Napa field summary for you, showing you where everyone is running at the moment and where they started. So we have in the top 5 now drivers that started from 20th on back. Bobby Gordon, the pole sitter, is currently 8th.
MC Strickland started 5th back at 12th. Weber started 35th, 15th. Big Triple has moved from the 4th spot back to the 23rd spot.
Jimmy Spencer running there in 30th position after that incident on pit road. Jack has more on Terry Labonte. He's lost a couple of positions here in the last few laps, Jack.
Well, Bob, he's concerned. He thinks he may have a tire going down a slow leak, so he had to back out of it for a minute. So now, Benny, you guys know up there what you have to do is try to hold your breath and see if you can be sure whether that tire's going down or maybe he's just got a bad set. Right now, they're not sure whether he's going to come in or not. They left that decision up to Terry.
As long as the car will run around the racetrack as competitive as it is right now, I think Labonte will stay out there and just wait and see what happens. Remember, Jeff Gordon took that gamble last week at Richmond when the tire was rubbing, decided to stay on the racetrack, and it paid off for him.
Yep, the rub just went away after a couple of laps, and it certainly paid off for Jeff Gordon. Now here is Earnhardt trying to take the position away from Jeff Burton. Race side by side through corner number 2 and onto the backstretch. And Earnhardt goes to 3rd.
Not so fast.
Well, by a half a car length.
Yeah, he's going to have that position down there. Labonte tries to get alongside Burton, can't do it.
Apparently he has decided that the tire is not going down, so let's do some racing here. And Jack Earnhardt now seems to have found some speed.
Remember, guys, we talked about winning breeds winning and how you need luck. For Dale Earnhardt, he got a little help yesterday. A fax came in from spring training from the Atlanta Braves. It said, look, you're in our town, and all over the town, we've hidden luck for when we need it. Consider this fax a little piece of luck for you at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It was signed by a dozen of the Braves players and by the coach, Bobby Cox. They used it, went out. Maybe it was luck. They set the fastest time of second-day qualifiers, and maybe they found some more on the way to the racetrack, because, boy, they're on a tear now.
And Atlanta Motor Speedway is one of Dale Earnhardt's favorite racetracks. He has 8 wins at this facility, making him the all-time leader. Has 24 top 5 finishes in his 38 starts and has won 2 of the last 3 races. He's the defending champion of this series, and in fact, that was the last time that he won a NASCAR Winston Cup race. Well, what's going on up front? Is Dale Jarrett on a Sunday drive? Yes, but he's certainly getting a much more serious challenge now from Ernie Irvan.
Yes, he is. As a matter of fact, Irvin is closed up just within a couple of car lengths of Jarrett. I mean, this 88 car, the Ford quality care car that we're riding along with, has been, we've talked about 1997 on the NASCAR circuit. And he continues on again this afternoon, but Ernie Irvan is certainly not letting him get away.
And although he has run well in each race in 1997, and in fact dominated a couple, he has no wins. Jerry Punch.
Well, you guys mentioned the car number 8 qualified 5th and has dropped back to 13th position. He really doesn't have a problem. His lap times haven't dropped off that much of the problem he's had. When he lost first and second gear in the pits, only has third and fourth, and lost a lot of very valuable time on that last pit stop, which put him back in the second group. Now, he's trying to hang on and be smooth, but the concern is subsequent pit stops are going to be a problem, as now Jeff Burton makes a move inside of Terry Labonte for position off turn 2.
We're seeing some good competition here in the top 5 as these guys are running with each other now since the green came out from the most recent caution. Here comes Michael Waltrip now making a challenge on the outside of Burton, but Jeff, on the other hand, gets a good bite there on the low side.
And is trying to go by the Kellogg's car of Terry Labonte. Michael goes in, drifts high. You can see how much lower on the racetrack the 99 car of Jeff Burton is than Michael Waltrip's.
Michael Waltrip has finished 32nd, 26th, and 27th in the first 3 races of 1997. And look how low those 2 Jack Roush cars are running on the racetrack, both Jeff Burton and Mark Martin.
And it's not working for them. We see that Michael Waltrip closes up right on the back bumper of Jeff Burton.
Michael Waltrip finished 9th here at this race last year, and he finished in the 11th position at last fall's race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So 124 laps completed here out of 328, and Dale Jarrett continues to hold the lead along with Ernie Irvan running second, and Earnhardt, Labonte, and Burton. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. There's the interval between first and second here in the PrimeStar 500. Jarrett leads Ernie Irvan. Third place, Terry Labonte. And these guys are putting on a great show back for fourth position. That's Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Burton. And also in the mix is Michael Waltrip and Mark Martin.
Jeff Burton passed Dale Earnhardt a couple laps ago, and Earnhardt passed him right back. Cars awful equal here this afternoon.
Let's update our pole sitter, Robbie Gordon. He's in 11th position now, and we ride along with him with an onboard camera, the Briggs & Stratton onboard. Well, Robbie is, of course, a rookie contender this year and going for Rookie of the Year honors. He started first, is currently 11th. David Green started 19th. He's currently 34th. And Mike Skinner, who actually leads the Rookie of the Year point standings right now, started this race 24th, and that's where he's still running.
And we see Morgan Shepherd go by the 40 car, the Coors Light car of Robbie Gordon.
So Morgan moves to 11th and drops Robbie back to 12th.
And see Joe Nemechek. That's a team car to one of the 3 cars this year owned by Felix Sabates, going by Robbie Gordon.
Joe is running back in 35th. He's 2 laps down. And now the battle for the lead becomes a little more heated as Ernie challenges Dale.
This is at almost 200 miles per hour right there as the cars go down in the corner. Now they'll slow to probably 160 miles per hour and accelerate off the corner. And Ernie Irvan is the new leader.
Ernie did lead a lap at Rockingham earlier this year, so this is the second race that he's led in 1997. Jerry?
I told you in the previous pit stop that Dale Jarrett said his car was perfect and made no adjustments whatsoever, but teammate Ernie Irvan did. He made air pressure adjustments like Dale Jarrett had made on the previous stop, and those adjustments did for him what it did for Dale Jarrett. The 21 car makes a move underneath Earnhardt, and of course Michael Waltrip. That's the good thing about having a teammate. If one makes a change and it works, you know it's going to work for the other.
It looks like Dale Earnhardt now maybe in a bit of a mess because he's lost 2 spots here in the last lap and may lose 3.
Yes, Jeff Burton goes under the 3, the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and will try to take that spot away. Looks like Earnhardt's car is pretty good for 15 or 20 laps and then starts slowing down. And now look on the pylon, we see the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, has moved into the top 10. They talked all weekend that that car is fast.
We've got 2 Pontiacs running in the top 10. And Bill Weber has more on Burton.
Well, Bob, look for Jeff Burton to get better the longer the runs go, because as he burns off his fuel, the car seems to come to him. Now, he has just radioed his crew saying that he's looser than he was a little earlier. He's just going to take his time. He's actually tight in the middle of the turns and loose off. But the thing is, Buddy Parrott is warning him. It's all about tires. Conserve them, and you'll have a shot to win. Use them up, and we will not win today.
Look how close these cars are at 200 miles an hour. This is one of the fastest tracks, really, the NASCAR races on, and they do not use the restrictor plates here at Atlanta. They're just all over the place, BP.
They are all over the place. Looks like Earnhardt now is going to go by the Mark Martin car. And will take the spot away from Mark Martin.
So Earnhardt loses a couple of positions, and now he gains 1 back. There's the 18 car of Bobby Labonte. And up front, we have another battle for the lead as Dale Jarrett goes high side of Ernie Irvan and retakes the position. So Dale Jarrett puts himself back out front.
You reckon Robert Yates is getting just a little bit nervous as he watches both his cars passing each other? And he said, guys, have you never heard of running in line?
Jerry Punch is down there in the Yates pit. What are they saying, Doc?
I'm not sure it was nerves on Robert's part, but what happened was when Ernie took the lead, he said, hey, my car suddenly went away. I'm not nearly as good out front as I was following Dale. So he told his guys, when I come in next time, let's go ahead and make some more changes in the same direction with the air pressure. Then if I pass the 88 car, maybe I can stay out here.
Let's check the interval between the leader and everybody else as they cross the line. About a half-second advantage now for Dale Jarrett on the leader.
See Terry Labonte goes back 3 3/4 seconds behind, and Michael Walker just a little bit behind Terry Labonte, and Earnhardt 5.5 seconds behind.
And only 7 3/4 seconds separate first from 10th as Bobby Labonte has that 10th position. Bill Elliott running in the top 10, and there is the battle between Elliott and Labonte. Labonte way up high.
And he gets a great run off this corner, tries to get on the inside of Elliott. But Elliott also has a great run. Now Labonte will take a look. This is the battle for 10th spot.
Bill Elliott finished 4th at Daytona, was 22nd at Rockingham and 15th at Richmond. He finished 10th in this race last year. He's currently 9th, but battling for that spot, trying to hold on to it. The car on the right, the green number 18, is owned by football legend Joe Gibbs.
Inducted into the Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Last year was Joe Gibbs.
And it's interesting because Joe Gibbs' drag team is sponsored by McDonald's. The car that Labonte is battling here on the racetrack. The highest running Pontiac is piloted by Bobby Hamilton. That, of course, is the car owned by Richard Petty. And then this great 3-car battle continues.
2 Roush cars, the 6 of Mark Martin, the 99 car, trying their best to catch Dale Earnhardt. And Martin runs on the bottom of the racetrack, has been down there all day long, never has run up high on the top side of the racetrack. Look on the pylon, you see that Michael Walker has now moved into the 3rd spot, getting by Terry Labonte.
Michael Waltrip has never won a NASCAR Winston Cup race.
Points paying race.
Yes, he has won the Winston. As a matter of fact, fact, his last top 5 was in April of last year at Talladega. He finished good. We're talking about Michael Waltrip. And let's find him. There he is, right ahead of Terry Labonte. So a good run for Michael Waltrip and the Citgo Ford Livelihood brothers.
Yeah, started, you can see 31st, currently is running 3rd. And Michael Waltrip yesterday in the NASCAR Busch race that ran yesterday afternoon had a terrific run and lost a tire or something happened right near the end.
And you saw the interval now is increasing between Dale Jarrett and second place Ernie Irvan. Well, the sun is starting to be a bit of a factor and will continue to be so to these drivers as the afternoon wears on. We'll take another break after 145 of 328 laps at the PrimeStar 500. It's Dale Jarrett leading. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway. No, don't rub your eyes or try to adjust your set. We assume that Ted Musgrave's onboard camera has taken a bit of a hit and knocked it out of focus.
Yeah, something has hit the lens on the camera and obviously broken it. You can see that as he, I hope he can see better than I can as he tries to close in on Darrell Waltrip.
Musgrave running in 15th. Waltrip is 14th. That's a much better view. That's the in-car camera. The PrimeStar in-car. As Ted tried to look to the inside of Darrell Waltrip for the 14th spot.
ODW's hanging in there pretty tough. Qualified 3rd today for the PrimeStar 500. Is hanging in 14th spot. Said he's going to race up front all day, and so far he has.
Ted Musgrave started in 7th position. And also in this little battle with Ward Burton there, the 22 car.
Yes. Right in front of these 2 cars. Burton running the bottom of the racetrack, and these 2 running the very top.
That groove just seems to get higher and higher out there on the track. There's the leader, Dale Jarrett, car number 88, putting a lap on the 97 car of Chad Little.
And there we see Jeremy Mayfield, the 37 car.
Next time by, we're going to show you a new innovative feature here on ABC Sports. We're always trying to look for ways to keep you better informed, and watch what happens here as Dale Jarrett crosses the line. It'll show you how they're running on the racetrack and where they are in the serial scoring. You notice there are 2 lap cars there between 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, Jeremy Mayfield, we saw him. He's now in 31st spot. Chad Little is 35th. Go on down the line. There we see David Green is in 32nd. And when Jarrett came back across the line, it quit calculating once again. We'll try this again. Oh, now we go back to Neiman check. That's all the cars we can put on the front.
That's right.
I see.
And there he goes. Crosses the line once again, but that's the way the order that they're running it on the racetrack. 3 Fords running up front, Jarrett Irvan and Michael Waltrip, followed by 2 Chevys. Now the Fords, there was a bit of a rule change this past week for the Fords.
Yeah, they got a little bit of 1/8 of an inch on the front bumper. They were able to drop the front bumper 1/8 of an inch. There we see the pole shot of Robbie Gordon as he follows John Andretti, Spencer, also the 31 car, Mike Skinner.
And Robbie has dropped back to 27th position. I'm not sure this car is running at full song.
Well, let's just listen. It sounds okay. Robbie Gordon was not able to wade back in the accelerator, hit the accelerator, and go all the way to the floor. He had to kind of play with it to keep the back end from coming around.
So obviously the car is loose, and he's just slowing down simply because the car is not handling all that well at the moment. He's led 42 laps, started 1st, and he is currently at his lowest position that he has been in since the race started, 27th. Labonte's still moving up.
He's trying. He's been trying to pass Bill Elliott for 15 laps. He finally was able to do it. But those 2 cars have seemed to gain on Earnhardt, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton.
Yeah, those 3 guys have been running together for a long time. They still are, but now they've got some company in the form of Bobby Labonte and Bill Elliott. So we have 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th right there. Bobby Labonte up high, Mark Martin down on the low groove.
And Earnhardt high on the racetrack. You see that Terry Labonte, if you notice the pylon, has moved back into 3rd spot, taking it away from Michael Walker. Wow, that's quite a move.
And look at Labonte come up right beside Jeff Burton. Burton down on the low side. I think he's going to get Mark.
He is. Oh.
Yep.
Squeezes in there, just barely squeezes in.
Oh, and Labonte and Martin might have had slight contact. Well, these guys are putting on quite a show, and they have been for the last few laps.
And Bobby Hampton not that far behind. Mark Martin finally says, okay, guys, go ahead. I will be glad to follow you fellas.
Drops back to 9th. Dale Jarrett continuing to lead the race. Has led 600 of the 1,153 laps raced this season, more than half. And Jarrett continues to add to that total here this afternoon. And he is putting a lap on the pole sitter, Robbie Gordon, in 29th position. So that means that now 28 cars are on the lead lap at the end of 161 circuits in the PRIMESTAR 500.
Back in Atlanta Motor Speedway, lap 165, and pit stops begin. Dale Jarrett led the halfway point last time by, and now makes his scheduled pit stop. They'll make a half a pound of air pressure adjustment in the right front. Right side tires already on, left side tires going on, and Jarrett kills the motor. Three fires is down and away, 18.5 seconds, and now his teammate Ernie Irvin comes down pit road for his scheduled stop at 55 miles an hour. Ernie pitting right in front of the Rick Mass Remington Ford. Right side tires going on the car number 28. They plan also an air pressure adjustment on that car. A more significant air pressure adjustment than his teammate did. Let's check into the Michael Walker pits with Bill.
4 tires, Ford and fuel, and Michael Waltrick's away. They've made a track bar adjustment and a tire pressure adjustment so far today. Jackaroo.
Now, Bill, Terry Labonte is waiting to come into the pit box. 55 miles an hour, as you said. Gary Dehart and the crew come over the wall. Now, they did not plan to make anything but another air pressure adjustment. So there, as Bill Elliott is also on pit road, taking a look at Labonte. They're going to the left sides now as Elliott pulls out. Back with Terry. As we said, no major adjustments. They like what they've got on board for a package right now. And Labonte is away in 20 even. But wait a minute, another Labonte is coming onto pit road. Let's go to Bill Weber.
And Bobby Labonte brings the Interstate Batteries Pontiac into the pits. They swing around to the right side. They'll put on 4 tires and go along with fuel. Putting on the brakes now. Now looking to come around the left side as John Andretti swings by him. Around to the left. Seemingly taking a long time for the Interstate crew. Fuel is in, waiting on the tires. Over 20 seconds. 21 even. Jerry Punch.
Right side tires already on Mark Martin. They made a chassis adjustment. Mark's car was too tight. He was having to back out of the wall to get the car to turn. Costing him valuable spot. 20 seconds even. They drop the jack and Martin burns away back to turn 1.
Bobby Hamilton may have picked up the lead just for a lap, but he is in. Now here comes Ricky Craven making a pit stop. Jack?
Now Ricky Craven out of Maine getting the dream ride of all time with Rick Hendrick. First thing the crew did was clean off the front grill area. As you alluded to, a lot of debris out here, a lot of wind. 4 tires as well, kind of standard here on a Winston Cup stop. Even under green flag conditions. Some smoke coming out of the right front area. That's strictly some brake smoke. Trying to slow down. 15.6 seconds, 18.6 seconds, and he is off and away. A good stop for that youngster.
Imagine the tremendous pressure that these pit guys are under when the car comes in. Basically, you work, what, a minute and 15 seconds or approximately that during a weekend changing tires, but man, are those important.
You better not make any mistakes. We saw Dale Jarrett last week. A bad pit stop, some lug nuts fell off on a pit stop. Might have cost him the victory.
Understand that the 22 car got black flagged and penalized for exceeding the speed limit on pit road as he was leaving. And the 30 car is getting the same penalty, Johnny Benson. So the NASCAR officials are watching very closely the speed on pit road. During the pit, they made a bit of a chassis adjustment, didn't they?
And how do they adjust? How do they check the speed? For the white lines down pit road, they stop. There we see the white lines as the car goes down pit road. NASCAR officials set up, and they clock the car between those white lines. You go too fast, you will be brought back in for the black flag. And think of the time that you lose having to stop one more time.
So with all the pit stops completed, the lead cycles back to Dale Jarrett, and there he is. Ernie Irvin is running in second spot, followed by Terry Labonte, but look at Bobby Labonte and Jeff Burton in a tussle towards the spot.
They're trying to get by the lap car of Gary Bradbury, and they're able to go by the 4 car, Sterling Marlin. Also some laps down.
Now, Bill Elliott was involved in a battle with these guys before the pit stops, but 3 lug nuts fell off during his pit stop, and Elliott is back to 11th. Jerry?
Bob, unfortunately, that's exactly what happened to Elliott today. Same thing happened to Dale Jarrett last week, but 3 lug nuts came off the right rear tire. Cost him about 4.5 seconds to pick those lug nuts up and put them back on. And, of course, that's why he's not battling where he was prior to the green flag pit stop. Let's check in with Jack LaRue.
Jerry, remember earlier you alluded to the fact that there were marbles up on the racetrack and that the buildup and the lobbying going on for maybe cleaning. Here's what you have to do when you don't have a clean track and a lot of marbles. You get the old paint scraper off and you scrape all of that off the tires before you can really check and see just how the tires are wearing.
That is, of course, in Ricky Craven's pit, and there is Ricky on the racetrack, and he's running in 19th spot, the last car on the lead lap. We'll be back with more from Atlanta Motor Speedway after this message and a word from our ABC stations. 179 laps completed out of 328 in the PrimeStar 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Tonight on ABC, an all-new Lois and Clark at 6 Central Time, followed by America's Funniest Home Videos. Then at a special earlier time, 8:30, 7:30 Central, Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd, and River Phoenix star in Sneakers, all tonight on ABC. We're riding along with Rusty Wallace, who won last week's race. He's in contention here again today. Also, he's in 12th at the moment. Now, last week, after he won the race, his engine was in scrutiny until Monday. Bill Weber explains the measurement in question in this Track Fact. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine.
Each week before Winston Cup teams hit the track, NASCAR performs an informal courtesy check of each car's compression ratio with a device called a Whistler gauge. The compression ratio is determined using a formula that measures the air-fuel volume in the cylinder, the larger number, divided by the compressed measurement of volume, or smaller number.
Compression ratio is the difference in volume when the piston's all the way down, plus the gasket, plus the chamber, and when the piston's all the way up, plus the gasket, plus the chamber. Divide those two measurements in each other, and that's your ratio. All we got right now is 5.2 to 1 compression ratio because the piston's not all the way up. With the valve sealed, I can bring the piston up, and we'll get the maximum reading for compression. The difference between the chamber with the cylinder with the piston at the bottom all the way compared to what it is at the top.
Once the race has been completed, NASCAR can elect to remove the cylinder head, measure the chamber, measure the bore and stroke, come up with the volume, and determine the compression ratio mathematically.
You take everything right to the line. That's what we're here for. There's the rule, don't cross it, but go right up to it and lean on it as hard as you can.
The maximum is 14 to 1 compression ratio. In other words, folks, with the piston down, if that was 14 square inches, and with the piston up, if the combustion chamber combustion was 1 square inch. You divide the little number into the big number, 14-1. And Rusty's last week was right at 14-1, and they had to bring the engine back to Charlotte and let it rest overnight, let it cool overnight to check it to get the final numbers on the compression ratio.
And then on Monday, NASCAR announced that yes, indeed, everything was legal and Rusty Wallace was the winner of the race at Richmond. We're on board with Dale Jarrett, who until this race had only led 14 laps in his total 18 races here at Atlanta. But he has led so far today 126 of the first 185 laps. And moving into 10th position is a name that, well, hasn't been in the top 10 very much recently. It's good to see that Ken Schrader has moved into 10th.
Yes, Schrader, poor qualifying effort, but he has moved forward, and you see in the top 10. There we see Dale Jarrett, Ernie Irvin in the 28 car, Terry Labonte in the 5, Michael Walter, Bobby Labonte, that's the top 5. Then Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, Bobby Hamilton in the 43, Earnhardt in the 3, and there we see Kenny Schrader in the 33 car as he goes in turn 1.
And he has been in victory lane in NASCAR Winston Cup competition 4 times, and one of those times was here at Atlanta. He won this race back in 1991. Has had 3 top 5 finishes in his 25 previous appearances here at Atlanta.
Schrader started 35th today. Today was the 42 car. Joe Nemechek seems to be running pretty well in the Bell South car, but he is laps down, 2 laps down to the leader, Dale Jarrett.
It's just about 3 o'clock Eastern time, and if you're just joining us, welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway here on ABC Sports. We're bringing you live coverage of the PrimeStar 500. The leader is Dale Jarrett. Only 1 car is out of the race at the moment, and that is Jeff Gordon, who will finish in 42nd position after early engine failure. And the overhead shots from here at Atlanta being brought to you by Pennzoil. The copter cam is high above the Speedway, circulating and giving us this overhead shot of Bill Elliott, who is currently running in 11th spot.
See Elliott as he dives in the 3rd corner here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And not too far behind Bill is the leader of the race.
Dale Jarrett just setting a tremendous pace here this afternoon.
Hey, the leader, Jarrett, is slow.
Something is wrong with Jarrett as the car slows on the main straightaway and drops to the bottom of the racetrack. We can see something coming out of the left side of the car. And Jerry, any idea?
It was the ignition. The car just shut off. And I just ran over here and grabbed one of the guys. Brad Parrott, it was the ignition on the car.
Yeah, it was just the ignition. He just flipped it. He's going now.
So he flipped to the backup ignition, and boy, some anxious moments here in the 88 pits.
Well, he did lose the lead, but he held on to second. Ernie Irvin went around him and took over top spot, but Jarrett was able to get that ignition, that backup ignition turned on and saving second position. Wow, that was a tense moment, Benny.
Watch as he comes off the corner. He's coming off the corner. We see this. We see the backfire in the exhaust right in front of the left rear tire. See it there?
Yep.
And that means that the car is misfiring. Wow. That is scare poor Dale Jarrett to death.
Man. The car seems to be running okay again. So Jarrett is back on the pace, but again, he's fallen to second spot. His best finish here at Atlanta, by the way, was second. That came in the final race of the year last year. And he's not too far behind.
No, he isn't. As a matter of fact, it looks like he is much faster than Ernie right now. And we see Terry Labonte isn't that far back either in 3rd spot. There we see the top 10. 135 laps to go here in the PrimeStar 500.
Putting a lap on Mike Wallace in car number 91. He is 15 laps down in 4th position.
at the line and just see who of the cars in the top 10 might be the fastest as Erdman goes by.
It could be Bobby Labonte in 18. Let's watch.
Hey, Terry Labonte right now, 173.9, almost 174.
And here once again is the battle for the lead, and Dale Jarrett goes back in front.
And one car, Michael Waltrip, also 173 miles per hour. So Dale Jarrett back in front.
After that scare with the ignition, he's back on top. Okay, let's do it again here. Labonte the fastest. No, now the 18 is.
18 car just a little bit faster than his brother.
And let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch in the Jeremy Mayfield pit.
Tough break for Mayfield, who finished fifth in this race a year ago. Apparently, he had trouble getting his car to turn in the corner. They had just made a pit stop and left. There was some fluid on the ground. He has come back down pit road. They raised the hood, and apparently they broke a fitting off the power steering reservoir. They are now have fixed the reservoir. They're filling it back up to try to get the power steering to work. If you don't have power steering here at Atlanta with 1 mile of turns, it is a long day in about 15 laps.
Jeremy Mayfield continues to lose laps. He's back in 37th position, 5 laps down, and that count continues, of course, because he's still on pit road. And Terry Labonte now has come up to 3rd.
Just a little bit ago, we saw the 2 laps we ran the speeds. Both times we ran the speeds, he was one of the fastest, and one time was the fastest car on the racetrack.
With 10 straight top 10 finishes. Still has not led a lap in NASCAR Winston Cup competition so far this year. Here comes Bobby Labonte. And since the restart from the most recent caution, MCI information will show you that he was 13th on lap 108. 10th on lap 131, then moved to 9th, and has been in 5th since lap 177. Nice steady move forward by Bobby Labonte. We'll check his speed when we come back from our next commercial break, which is coming up. 198 laps, make that 199 laps now completed here in Atlanta. Dale Jarrett, after a scare, back on top. Dale Jarrett continues to lead the PrimeStar 500 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, Jerry Punch, and Bill Weber. Here's our Bud race recap. Jarrett has led 140 of the first 202 laps. There have been 12 lead changes, 2 caution periods totaling 9 laps, and the average speed is over 157.7 miles an hour. Those that have picked up 5 bonus points for leading laps include Jarrett, who has led the most, far and away. Robbie Gordon was the pole sitter. Mark Martin, Ernie Irvan, Terry Labonte have also led laps, along with Bobby Labonte. And the out-of-race sheet is rather short because there's only 1 car officially out of competition. That was Jeff Gordon, who departed early because of engine failure.
There we see Dale Jarrett on board with him, and someone's talking about he might still be backfiring. Let's see if we can listen and hear anything. So far it sounds good. We'll take a look from the outside at the pipe. As he accelerates down the straightaway, we should not have any backfiring whatsoever. Now going down the corner about right now, when he jumps back to the throttle, we might see something. No, still don't see anything. So.
Well, he survived a scare with ignition failure. They, of course, have backup ignition systems, and he switched to that. Jerry, what are they saying down in his pit?
Well, Bob, 17 laps ago when the ignition failed, they think the pressure built up so much inside that it may have cracked the header tube. And that would allow the car to backfire going in the corner when he backed off or when he jumped back in it. Now, the truth is, the good news for us is that we're running such a tall gear. We have told Dale Jarrett to let the car roll through the corners, and by letting it do that, it has stopped the backfiring. However, if someone puts pressure on him and he has to drive it in, it'll restart again.
Well, I was told that there we see it exactly. And I think that Jerry Bunch and those guys were right. I think that when he did this before, and they were seeing Labonte going by Michael Waltrip, that's the 4th position. But I think that Jerry Bunch and those guys are right. When the car misfired and cut off that other time, it created so much back pressure in the exhaust that it did crack or blow apart the exhaust system, and they're getting some air in the exhaust. And that's what causes the backfire now.
We'll keep an eye on that as the race goes along. Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte has gone into 4th position, taking a spot from Michael Waltrip. We're on board with him with the Citgo in-car camera. Michael has been a contender all afternoon, though, and has been in the top 5 for quite a while now.
And there we see Earnhardt, Schrader, and Elliott racing for position. And looks like Schrader's going to take the, what is that, 10th spot away? 9th spot.
9th, yep. So good run for Schrader. 9th, Earnhardt 10th, Bill Elliott 11th. But now Earnhardt may want that position back. He dives low. Can't get it.
And Bill Elliott will go by the McDonald's car and move into the 10th spot, put in Earnhardt back to 11th.
Now the 30 car of Johnny Benson, that yellow car there on top of the racetrack, is not these guys. He's a lap down in 27th.
The 30 car was penalized for going too fast on pit road. There we see the 8 car, Hut Strickland, and some reports around the racetrack. He has been smoking.
Currently 22nd. He's a lap down up front for the early part of the race.
Certainly don't see any smoke now in the Circuit City car.
And again, this team is
coming up on that cat car again. Doing good, drivers. Staying in there, bud.
Trying to find horsepower is Bob Glidden. He's working on that team also. Well, Bobby Labonte having a good run, Bill Weber.
Certainly is, Bob, going down the backstretch. And what's been working for Bobby Labonte and a couple of other guys has been the high groove. Now, he's been higher than that at times during the day, and that's really helped his speed. But the guy that found him first was Michael Waltrip. Earlier in the day, his car had a push. They made a track bar adjustment and a tire pressure adjustment, but the biggest adjustment was made by the driver. He found a new groove. He took it up high on the track and has been running it up there most of this race. This is a 500-mile race, but Michael Waltrip may be running a 510-mile race if he stays in that groove. Dale Earnhardt's crew noticed this. They said, let's try the high groove. Larry McReynolds timed the high groove and the low groove. For Earnhardt, the lower groove is faster. But for Michael, it's been up against the wall and put to the floor here in Atlanta.
It's a long way around up there on top. Here's an AutoZone on-track interval for Bobby Labonte. He's reduced the interval between himself and the leader, Dale Jarrett, by 0.6 of a second.
And we see that Dale Jarrett is running exactly the same speeds we saw 100 laps ago.
Yep.
What's happening, Bobby Labonte is now running a little bit faster. Look at that, 31.6, 0.2 of a second faster than our leader, Dale Jarrett.
Bobby Labonte looking for 2 wins in a row here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He won the finale of the 1996 season here at this racetrack. Riding with the leader, looking back on the others. Well, the question is, does Dale Jarrett have more problems? The crew is working on a backup ignition system. That's what they're working on right there. Back with more in a moment.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, a 20.6 pit stop for Dale Earnhardt. He had just cracked into the top 10, running 10th and 11th. An early stop, and guys, he's been out of sequence by about 5 or 6 laps in the lead through most of the afternoon. One other point to mention, we noticed down here during those pit stops that there's a crew member from Jeff Gordon's team changing the left rear. Is it maybe an on-the-job interview? Time will only tell, Jerry Punch.
Going to break, we showed you the Dale Jarrett crew looking at this backup ignition system. We told you at lap 190 his primary ignition failed. He is now running on the only one he has left. They brought this one to pit road. Let's take a look. All the switches in the front. In the back of this is the MSD amplifier box. And you say, well, what good would that do him? How long would it take him to hook up all these wires? Well, it would take him about 10 seconds because all these wires in this harness run to one central connection. They pulled the old one out, popped that one in 10 seconds during a pit stop, and wow, he has another backup ignition ready.
So we'll see if they make that change during his next pit stop, which should be coming up before too very long.
See Dale Jarrett, the leader of the race, trying to go by Darrell Waltrip. And we see still got some flame coming out of the exhaust pipe. That will put Darrell Waltrip in the Western Auto Chevy a lap down.
So Darrell Waltrip goes a lap down, and now 14 cars remain on the lead lap as you take a look at where everybody is running. Radio Stack Field Summary. It doesn't show Waltrip a lap down there, but he just went down.
And now we see all the cars that are now one lap down. Back to the 25th spot where Robbie Gordon, who just made a pit stop, is now 2 laps down.
He was the pole sitter of the race. Earnhardt also just made a pit stop. He's 2 laps down in 26th.
Rusty Wallace, the winner last week, about to be lapped by Dale Jarrett.
Jarrett just moving through the field at random here, making a shambles of this race. Now there are 13 cars on the lead lap, and the next car that may go a lap down would be the number 10 car, Ricky Rudd. Jarrett way up high.
I don't want my picture.
Now see Jarrett going by the 96 car of David Green, and Rusty Wallace will head towards the pits.
Next Sunday at 2:30, 1:30 Central and Pacific, a World Cup soccer qualifier, the USA versus Canada. U.S. goalkeeper Casey Keller goes for his 5th consecutive shutout in World Cup qualifying. ABC Sports will bring you the 98 World Cup from France, and the 28 car Ernie Irvan is on pit road. Jerry Punch.
Scheduled pit stop for Ernie Irvan and the Texaco Haviland Ford Thunderbird crew. They clean the windshield becoming a factor now as the sun begins to get down. NASCAR allowing an extra man over the wall. Right side tires, great pit stop. Joey Knuckles now left front tire going on. Left rear, they have it full of fuel, and they wait to get it full of fuel. Lug nuts, and he is down the way in 18.4 seconds. Great pit stop.
And right on the racetrack now we have the battle of the Labonte brothers. Bobby, the 18, goes by the 5 car, takes over that 2nd spot.
And again, these two were the stars last November here in Atlanta as Bobby won the race and Terry won the championship, and Jeff Burton is on pit road. Bill?
Jeff Burton is in. Right sides are already on. Now they come around to the left. They are taking a half pound out of the right front and a half pound out of the right rear tire. His car's been a little tight. They're trying to balance the car for a long run. Car is down and away. They've had great pit stops all year. That was probably another one.
Burton keeping it below 55 miles an hour down the pit road. Here's Jerry again.
And NASCAR has told Robert Yates they're going to penalize the 28 car for stop and go for too fast exiting the pits. So they will bring the 28 back down pit road while they get ready to call his teammate Dale Jarrett in for his scheduled stop.
Wow, that really hurts with a car that competitive and being penalized for an infraction on pit road. Mercy.
Here we see, once again, he's got to go 55 miles per hour, a certain speed between those white lines on pit road. Our boots beside the NASCAR. All he's got to do is stop. The NASCAR official will say go.
Has to come to a complete dead stop, and then he can accelerate, but not too fast. Here comes his teammate, Dale Jarrett, down pit road, Doc.
And Bob, 55 miles an hour. They just reminded Dale, remember, you cannot speed leaving the pits. Take your time. No adjustments. They are not going to put the backup ignition in. They do clean the windshield and the bottle of water to the driver. Right side tires going on. Now left side, they are not moving. Air. How about up in Terry Labonte's pit, Jackaroo?
Jerry, they've completed the right sides, completing the left sides. Now remember, two pit stops ago as he's away, and Dale Jarrett is also away. Remember, Jerry, 2 stops ago they played with air pressure. They've split the difference between the last 2 stops. And they have actually gone down a half pound, and now the other Labonte's in, Bill Weber's there.
Bobby has new right side tires and Unical fuel going into his Grand Prix. Now they want him to go back on the right front and check a lug nut. They're working on the left side. The NASCAR official is holding the car. They frame Jeff Chandler around to tighten the lug nut that apparently was down on the car. Chandler back to this side and Labonte's away. 23.1. Jackaroo.
The rest of the Hendrick team completes their pit stops. The 25 for Ricky Craven, very quick. And I'll tell you what, gentlemen, Craven's crew has been right on the money each and every stop.
So with everybody having made a pit stop, Dale Jarrett picks up the lead again. He has now led the most laps in this race, and he's led the most laps in each of the last 3 races. He only led the most laps in 2 races in all of 1996. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
ABC Sports coverage of the PRIMESTAR 500. Brought to you by Econo-Lodge. Spend a night, not a fortune. Firestone, America's tire since 1900. Miller Lite, he reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. And Radio Shack. You've got questions? We've got answers.
Welcome you back to ABC's coverage of the PRIMESTAR 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Race number 4 of the 97 series, and we are under caution. The overhead shots being provided by the Pennzoil Copter Cam, and it shows a reduced speed as the field has lined up behind the pace car. We are under caution because Ken Schrader kind of bumped into the wall here on the straightaway, but he got some help, Benny.
Yes, we see the leader is right behind Schrader and Ricky Rudd to come off the corner, and contact right there between the 10 car, Ricky Rudd and Kenny Schrader. Schrader almost saved it, but he goes back, hits it with the rear, and bam, now the front goes in. There the leader, Dale Jarrett, sneaks by.
Wow.
On the inside.
That was close. That was very close to Jarrett being involved in that thing.
There we see the cars are 3 abreast, and there is Jarrett right behind Schrader. And Jarrett's trying to figure out, what do I do? What do I do? He goes and almost runs in the side of Billy Standridge. Watch from Dale Jarrett's onboard camera. You'll see just how close this was.
That's the second bullet that Jarrett has dodged today. He dodged one with ignition problems and now comes very close to being involved in this incident, but somehow gets through unscathed.
Just about spun out as he tried to avoid Kenny Schrader. Now, the car's going to pit or what?
It hasn't been too long since they were in. Are they going to come in, you think?
I probably will. At least the cars on the tail end of the lead lap, Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, Bobby Hamilton, those cars that are at the tail end of the lead lap, certainly they will pit.
There you see some cars dropping off the banking in turn number 4, but it appears as if Jarrett will stay out there. But here comes Darrell Waltrip and several others. So we're going to take another break here as the race is under caution with 237 laps completed, and Dale Jarrett still out front. Less than half a lap away from the restart after a caution because Ken Schrader hit the wall here on the straightaway.
And Earnhardt and Ernie Irvin both about to get lapped when that caution flag counted. Good break for them. Cars had pitted: Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvin, Bill Elliott, Ted Musgrave, and Johnny Benson. All those cars pitted, put on fresh tires, and here we go on the restart. And Dale Jarrett is complaining about that backfire.
Green.
See if it has any effect on the car at the drop of the green flag. He's got a good jump on Terry Labonte in second. Three abreast in turn 1.
That's Mike Skinner, the second car. relay speed side by side, and there's a battle. The 21 and 5 are battling for third spot.
Boy, Michael Walker was just having a tremendous race, and what a great day it would be for Michael Walker from the Walker family if Michael can take that car to victory lane.
There he is, Michael in the 21 car. While Schrader has repaired his car back on the racetrack.
And here comes the 18 of Bobby Labonte, who's running in 5th at the moment.
Mark Martin, the 6th car that we're riding along with, is the 4th place car.
Look at the great difference in the line. Mark Martin has been running on the bottom all afternoon, and Bobby Labonte's been running on top, and they're still doing it. They're the top 10. 15 cars now on the lead lap. There's Morgan Shepherd, who's also having a great run.
He is having a great run. 6th place for Morgan Shepherd as he goes on the inside of Labonte.
3 wins at this racetrack. Morgan Shepherd has won this race twice and has won the fall race once. His most recent victory was in 1993.
Shepherd, the white number 1, closes in on the back bumper, and the Ricky Rudd spin.
Down the backstretch, hasn't hit anything.
Caution flag is waving. Left front tire is flat. And Ricky does not hit anything, but I don't know how much damage he's going to do to the car trying to get back with flat tires.
Yeah, that tire may flap around and damage the wheel well there on the, it looks like both tires are down, aren't they?
Well, the left front, the inner liner and outer tire is flat. The left rear, only the outer tire is flat.
And this may jeopardize Ricky Rudd's 3 straight top 10 finishes and 6 out of the last 8. It's the 4th caution, and it comes on lap 245. So the Tide Ford limps to victory lane now to get some fresh rubber. And here it is once again.
Here we are. And we roll forward, and we see back there is Ricky Rudd. And the car will come off the corner. Rudd on the outside, and just a little bump from, is that Earnhardt?
Yes, it is.
Dale Earnhardt, just a little contact between Rudd and Earnhardt.
Well, there was contact between Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader earlier, and now Rudd is the victim of contact with Dale Earnhardt. And Rusty Wallace had a great view of this from his onboard camera.
See that Earnhardt almost spun as he tried to avoid it. And there we see him as he goes up right there, makes contact, and around goes Ricky Rudd.
Pennzoil copter cam with a great shot of that little incident between Earnhardt and Rudd.
And Earnhardt once again pits. He just pitted a couple of laps ago. He's back in the pits. Jackaroo?
And you'd have to think it's preventive maintenance. You know, he was close. He had the tapping incident. They're going to change all 4 tires, take advantage of this caution, and make sure everything's okay. The same cannot be said for Ricky Rudd's crew, who is adjacent right to Dale Earnhardt's crew. They've got the pry bars out, and they're waiting. They're going to have to do extensive cosmetic surgery on that car.
Ricky has still not been in the pits.
Yeah, it still has not made its way around to, in fact, it's still over in turn number 3.
And we can see now just all the damage that it's doing to the car. And the fire, looks like the left front tire now is actually on fire.
It's got quite a bit of flame there on the left front of the car.
Maybe he's broken an oil line or a brake line or something, and that's what we're seeing.
Well, there's lots of sparks there that could ignite something down in that area. He's finally just about made it to pit road.
I hear someone on a mic someplace telling that the car is on fire, and those guys had better be ready with the fire extinguisher.
Well, they are ready as he comes down pit road to go to work on the machine. Jack, he's right there in front of you.
And the tire does not exist on the left front. Quick call by NASCAR. They called the fire service out to the head of pit road to make sure that the fire was extinguished. Having a little bit of difficulty lifting the car up to get it under for the jack. They finally accomplished that with the pry bar of all things, but there is extensive damage in the front of the car. A lot of liquid. The oil cooler has been busted loose. Guys, it's going to be a long time, if any time today, when Ricky Rudd is going to be able to come back out. They're trying to stow the oil cooler now, try to cap it off, but this is going to be a long stop for Rudd and Company in the Tide Machine.
Well, a tough break for Ricky Rudd, who was running in the top 10 when this incident happened with Dale Earnhardt on the backstretch. We'll be right back. Caution remains out at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Ricky Rudd with an accident on the backstretch after contact with Dale Earnhardt.
And there we see Ricky Rudd's guys trying to get the oil cleaned up on pit road, because, see, here's Earnhardt's pit right beside him, so it's important that they get the oil out of the pit, because that's where Earnhardt is going to have to accelerate through when he leaves his pit for the next time he does make a pit stop.
They have taken the 10 car behind the wall. Jack Arute is with its driver.
Good news is you're okay, but tell us your version of what happened, Ricky.
Well, it's not, it's a pretty simple version. You get hit in the back coming off turn 2, you get turned around. That's what happened. Earnhardt got in the back of me, turned us around, and actually didn't hit anything. I saved it, and all the damage was done trying to limp back around with flat tires, but tried to get back around so we wouldn't get a lap down, and it ended up costing us a lot of damage.
A lot of talk by the drivers that the marbles are beginning to accumulate up in the high groove. What was your experience with that?
Well, I didn't really see it. We could run on the top, we could run on the bottom. The racetrack was actually in real good shape. You know, shortly after restart, the track would be a little slick, take about 4 or 5 laps to work it back in. But no, it was actually in real good shape.
Guys, the tough part for the Tide guy here is that not only is he the driver, he's the car owner. So he's got a big bill to pay this week.
Jack, we've shown people throughout the day that a small change in the air temperature or track temperature makes a huge change in the race car. That's why every time Dale Jarrett pits, Brad Parrott comes back here to the little weather station and records, we pitted, we changed 4 tires, and he looks here. Here's the air temperature, 81 degrees, the barometric pressure right at 30, and of course the time. And he also records with an infrared gauge the track temperature. He just pulls the trigger and shows 110 degrees. Every time they make a pit stop, he comes and checks these 4 parameters and writes them down. Any slight change in any of these 4 could totally change the race car on the racetrack.
Wow, there's so much involved to getting a guy in victory lane anymore, isn't there?
It's not simple anymore.
All right, here's some Radio Shack Field summary showing you how everybody's running in groups of 15. Note Johnny Benson is on the lead lap after a penalty and other problems. He's worked himself up to 11th position. And also note that Rusty Wallace is on the lead lap in 8th position. 14 cars on the lead lap. And here are the ones that are 1, 2, and in Ricky Rudd's case now 3 laps down. And of course, that will continue to mount as Rudd's car is behind the wall.
And there's the 42 cars. Let's see, Jeff Gordon, 1995 NASCAR Winston Cup champion, the first car out today. Also Hut Strickland, I don't think we've told you that he is in the garage area out with an engine problem, and the car ran so well early on.
Well, next Sunday at 5 o'clock for Central and Pacific, A Passion to Play, the making of a champion. Explore the lives of 3 young women determined to be the best. 14-year-old U.S. figure skating champion Tara Lipinski, reigning Grand National go-kart champion Danica Patrick, and rising tennis star Anna Kournikova. Next Sunday, 5 o'clock for Central and Pacific here on ABC.
We see Lake Speed on the inside, the unsponsored number 9 car trying his best to get a lap back. He is 1 lap down in 15th spot. We'll see the pace car dive on pit road when he does, those guys will accelerate by.
No, no, no. Go, green.
leader, Dale Jarrett.
2 and 3 wide racing, and we hear that the 1 and the 18 got together on the restart.
The 1 is Morgan Shepherd. The 18 is Terry Labonte. A couple of Pontiacs.
Running 5th and 6th. Bobby Labonte in 18. Brother Terry in 5, running 2nd.
Did I say Terry?
I think so.
And there's Rusty Wallace, the winner last week, the 2 car. The blue 2 is currently in 7th spot.
Riding with him.
And Steve Grissom, the 41 car, passes Bobby Labonte.
Steve is 2 laps down.
And Labonte passes him back. And Rusty's going to try to pass both of them at the same time. No. And there's Ernie Irvin in the 28 car. Now they're 3 abreast, no, just 2 abreast.
Almost 3 abreast. Mike Skinner there in 31 almost was in the middle. And the 94 car smoking.
Elliott off the pace.
Oh, man. He was running in 11th position, and the McDonald's Ford is slow on the front straightaway. Jerry Punch is with Mike Beam.
Mike, what happened?
I don't know. Just smoked out the pipes there. You know, I don't know if he lost his cylinder, blew up. He never said nothing.
Did he shut it off?
Yeah, we're done.
Well, you can hear the dejection in Mike Beam's voice. The 94 is done.
5-time winner here in Atlanta, Bill Elliott, apparently through for the day, but the battle is up front, and Terry Labonte mounts a challenge on Dale Jarrett, and a crash on the front stretch.
And these guys will be racing back to the line, but hopefully they will back up as Joe Nemechek goes to the inside. Gary Bradbury is up against the outside retaining wall. And here they come, and the 9 car, Lake Speed, is trying to get a lap back.
Well, let's see if he does. He's trying to get by 2nd place. Labonte, will he be able to get by Jarrett? No, he will not before they cross the line, and so Lake Speed remains a lap down, and 2 cars are against the wall in the first turn, 1 to the inside and 1 to the outside, bringing out another caution period.
There we see Joe Nemechek.
They put the net down. Nemechek put his net down, and that's an indication to everybody that he is okay.
And there's Gary Bradbury in the 19 car.
We see him moving around in there, so apparently no injuries to either driver involved in this incident that started here on the main straightaway and is ended down in turn 1.
If I'm not mistaken, the 81 car might have been involved as well.
Looks like that Joe Nemechek is maybe shaken a little bit.
Yeah.
Nemechek having a tough day, was running in 28th position, 2 laps down, and yeah, he's a little groggy as he is sitting there on the edge of the car and is being assisted out of the machine.
Bill Elliott had stopped over going into turn 3 on the inside of the racetrack, so he's asked one of the wreckers to have that pushed him back to the garage area so they can load this McDonald's Ford up and head back to Dawsonville, or Hickory, North Carolina. Actually, that's where the car is going.
There's Gary Bradbury, who has climbed out of his car, walks over to the ambulance for the mandatory trip to the infield care center.
And we see the right front damage to Kenny Wallace's car. He was also involved in this. I really don't know how, but we see some damage to the right front fender, and now the tire, the cap on the tire, the outside of the tire is flopping around trying to knock the fender off, and there the tire finally falls off.
Yep, on the racetrack, so that will take some work to get it off. Let's take a look at the incident that occurred here on the front stretch and involved these 3 cars.
There we see the 2 cars to the inside. Bradbury goes up and boom in the outside wall, already a lot of damage. And there we see the 81 car is smoking. It's like he hit the wall coming off the corner. And Joe Nemechek goes down, looks like makes some pretty good contact with the inside wall.
Extensive right front damage to Kenny Wallace's machine. And here it is from our turn 1 camera.
Can't really tell much more than we have seen already. Let's see if Joe Nemechek does go down and how hard he hits the wall. Not too bad on the inside.
Joe obviously a little shaken as he got out of his car. Now the cleanup begins down in turn number 1. So this caution will be a rather lengthy one. 256 laps out of 328 have been completed here at Atlanta. Dale Jarrett was just beginning to get a challenge from Terry Labonte for the lead when the incident occurred here. There are the black marks, the skid marks, indicating where the crash might have begun, and it began quite a ways up the racetrack from the start-finish line.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they're in the inside wall, actually before the start-finish line.
And then more marks on the wall. And that's where the cars came in contact with the inside wall. Then Bradbury to the outside and Nemechek to the inside.
We have a speed shot, a stationary camera by the start-finish line. Let's see if we can tell anything about what happens there. No, really can't tell there what might have happened.
We saw that they were already locked together when they went by our shot located near the start-finish line. There they are. Now they become separated. And again, Bradbury to the outside wall and Nemechek on down to the inside wall. So I don't know what caused it, but in any case, we have a lot of damaged machinery. No driver injury apparently, but the 19 car and the 42 are extensively damaged. Well, they're going to make pit stops, Benny?
I don't know. Right now would not be a very good time since an ambulance is going down pit road, but I don't know. I don't even know that the pit road is open right now.
Yeah, no, it isn't open yet, but when it is, do you think they'll come in?
Well, let's see. Well, we'll have to figure that out. Don't ask me such a tough question right here on the spur of the moment.
We'll figure that out while you watch this and we take a break from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Still under caution here at Atlanta because of an accident in the front stretch and first turn areas. We did have some pit stops just a few minutes ago. Jarrett, Labonte, and Michael Waltrip coming down.
There we see the 3 cars coming down pit road. Michael Waltrip, the 21 car, stops first. Labonte stops second, and Jarrett on down towards turn 1 stops last. Mark Martin goes by as the right side is done on the 21 car, also on the 5. So it'll be 4 tires all the way around. And they've got to get these cars full of fuel, because the question is, as we see the cars accelerate, Michael Waltrip is in front of the 18 car. And Dale Jarrett will beat these cars out. But the question is, can they go the rest of the way on fuel? Some of the cars can.
We got 68 laps to go. Jerry?
Well, Bob, there were 69 laps to go when they pitted. Here's the scenario. Dale Jarrett, the most he has gone today is 65 laps. He would have to go 69 laps. Steve Allen on the other side of this toolbox is calculating. He says, we have to try to make it. Mark Martin and Jack Roush have both figured they can make it. But Jack Roush told Mark Martin, put the car in high gear and let it idle. Save as much fuel as possible. And they're going to roll the dice here in the Dale Jarrett pits. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
Pretty much the same story for Michael Waltrip. He got 4 tires and fuel. The car had been running extremely smooth. Still, they went up 1 click on the track bar. One guy that didn't come in is Jeff Burton. This is his pit. You may see him come in and top off with 1 to go, and then they will be running a gamble. Let's go to Jackaroo.
Well, Bill Weber, it is a gamble for Terry Labonte. Now, the first gamble was Labonte had scheduled to come in and take sticker tires on. At the last minute, after the caution was already displayed, they rolled the sticker tires back, brought scuffed tires forward. Then during the pit stop, they made absolutely certain, at the cost of about 2 seconds, that a full tank of fuel was on board. I asked Gary Dehart at the end of the stop, are you going to have to come in again? And he said, we don't intend to. Bob?
Okay, well, drama to be played out here in the closing laps of this race. There were 2 drivers that did not make pit stops, Morgan Shepherd and Jeff Burton, and they're the 2 that are up front at the moment. And Dale Earnhardt, I believe, just took on fuel, was it?
The last time. Well, I think he was in and on lap 245 and changed tires.
Okay. Well, Morgan Shepherd has 3 wins here at Atlanta and 17 top 10 finishes in his 30 races. Morgan Shepherd last won this event in 1993, also won it in 86, and he won the fall event in 1990.
And the 21 and the 43, both those cars just now ducked down pit road and topped the tanks off with fuel. They are all going to try to make it to the very, very end.
Well, tomorrow night on ABC, TV's newest action hit, get ready for Spy Game. That will be on at 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Then Richard Gere and Sharon Stone star in an erotic thriller, the network premiere of Intersection. That's tomorrow night at 8, 7 Central here on ABC. Now we're getting set for the restart.
And once again, leg speed, the red car on the inside trying to get a lap back from Morgan Shepherd. There's the 2 cars, the 1 and the 9. 17 of Darrell Waltrip also a lap down. We're riding along with Mike Waltrip. Here's Ted Musgrave. There's Rusty Wallace. Right now, Rusty Wallace in 8th spot. Green is out.
And a great job by Morgan Shepherd. Something may be wrong with Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton either missed a shift or something is wrong with the car. Did not get started in the 99 car.
Wow, he sees a lot of cars go by on the high side, and look at Dale Jarrett coming through.
And Earnhardt is not up to speed. Now looks like Earnhardt is going.
Looks like that Jeff Burton is up to speed, but both of them got very poor restarts.
And Rusty Wallace, the 2 car, pulls up on the outside of Burton. That's Mike Skinner, the 31 car.
Boy, this is just hold your breath time when they're running so close together here, and everybody knowing that what happens in the next few laps could be the race.
Morgan Shepherd still the leader of the race. This is the battle for 7th spot.
And Bill Weber has caught up with Gary Bradbury.
First of all, Gary, you told me you're okay. What happened out there?
Right, I'm fine. Well, I tell you, I really don't know. We just all got together coming up off 4 there. It ended up, I think, about 3 wide coming off 4. Well, I tell you, the restarts were really, really wild. I don't know, it seemed like everybody running like it was the last lap on the restarts, but, you know, the Challenge 4 recovery forward was really running decent today for our second outing. We got a couple laps down earlier, 1 in the pits, but wasn't having all that terrible a day. We were just trying to stay out there and finish, and I don't know, then somebody got together and I got turned, and I think got into maybe Joe, but I'll have to really look at the replay to say on that one.
Okay, he took a hard lick, but that's another tribute to how safe these NASCAR Winston Cup cars are.
We're watching Ernie Irvan, who's running in 8th position. Or make that 9th now. And the 18 car of Bobby Labonte is 10th. And that's Chad Little in the mix also. There's Jeremy Mayfield, and he's got more problems.
And that could bring out the caution flag. Still nothing.
He was running in 33rd position, some 6 laps down. There is Mark Martin to the inside of Darrell Waltrip. Darrell is not on the lead lap anymore. He's back in 15th.
Looks like the racetrack is clean. Oh, Musgrave goes around. And Rusty Wallace is going to hit.
Oh, Rusty hits it also. And there may be oil on the racetrack.
And it's in the 25 car, Craven. Some heavy damage in the front of his car where he's hit the side of the 16.
Wow. Heavy contact between the 25 and the 16.
You see the steering wheel is already off the 16 car. Doyle Ford telling, okay, guys, slow down, slow down.
Racing back to the caution, but The drivers are kept aware of what's going on the racetrack by their spotters, and Rusty Wallace suffers a very serious setback here after a great afternoon. Here's Bill.
Well, on this side of the car, the left rear quarter panel is bashed in. They're trying to top it off with fuel, but working on the right side, trying to pull the sheet metal away. Now they want a sledgehammer to help with that, to get that sheet metal away from the right front tire. So they're working on the right side. Rusty and his crew very unhappy. Robin Pemberton, the crew chief out there, Billy Wilburn, calling for instructions for help on the radio. Rusty cranks the wheel to the left. They continue to work on the front right side of the car. Now they drop the right side. Rusty will go, but I think he'll be back.
And more pit stops being made as Morgan Shepherd and Dale Earnhardt come in, along with Jeff Burton. So those running first, second, and third are making pit stops. So that puts Dale Jarrett back in the lead. Looks like Johnny Benson also is in. We watched Dale Earnhardt's crew go to work on the GM Goodwrench Chevy.
And look at the right rear guy with a DuPont uniform. They've gone and find a tire changer from the 24 car. Jackaroo.
Benny, they're making the change right now. They're going all four all the way around. For Dale Earnhardt, remember, he's been on a sequence. They did a gas and go during the last caution, so they decided to come in under this caution in 24.3 seconds and take out the tire. As Morgan Shepherd has completed his job as well, but not soon enough. It's Earnhardt that leads them out into turn one.
And Johnny Benson also gets out in front of Morgan Shepherd. Now, folks, here's the car that we talked about, Jeremy Mayfield, right there. The car that the engine is going south. That's in turn 2. And we don't know if there's any fluid coming out of the car or not, but that is Jeremy Mayfield. Now, the next time that the cars come by, we'll see where Jeremy comes off the corner. The next time that the cars come by, we see Musgrave. No, he's too high on the racetrack. Musgrave did not get in any fluid. He was too high on the racetrack. So I'm glad we were able to solve that puzzle.
He may run into those marbles that we've been talking about most of the afternoon, way up high there.
He was very high, and there all of a sudden we're going to see, boom, right here is going to be a heavy blow from the 25 car.
That blow came on the passenger side of Musgrave's car. Here it is from Ted's onboard camera. A very noisy and a very violent wreck.
And just listen. Man. Oh, man.
Some dramatic shots there for you. There is Musgrave looping it. Now watch Rusty Wallace come along. There he is on the bottom. He's out of control, slides up the racetrack, makes contact with the outside wall.
And Rusty almost hit that wall head on.
Yep.
Now the cars are going to the inside, trying to avoid. Jimmy Spencer goes between the two cars. Now he goes. Bill Weber, what's going on in the pits?
Jeff Burton is back for his second stop under this caution. He ran into Rusty Wallace with the right front side of his car. So they made a giant tape Band-Aid. They worked on the right side last time. Frank Stouter continues to work, heavily taping the right front quarter panel of the X-Side Ford. They've just changed left side tires. They've also put fuel in, 270 laps on the board. Rusty Wallace also in. They've got that car up on the right side on jacks. They tear out one of the crush panels on the right rear. Meanwhile, they continue to work on the 99, still pulling the sheet metal away from the right side. Burton wants to go, slowly creeps off and takes off. And they continue to work on Rusty Wallace's Miller Lite Ford here on pit road.
So the crash was costly for several of those who were up in contention for this race. Rusty remains on pit road and now rolls away.
And Rusty Wallace will be lapped. He's coming down pit road in the, let's see what the...
I think he ran the stoplight. Stop sign.
Too.
Yeah. He was showing green this sign, so it would have been showing red toward him. If there was If that indeed was the case, there is Ted Musgrave's badly damaged family PRIMESTAR car being taken off the racetrack, and Ricky Craven's car is even in a bigger mess. There's a conference going on in Dale Jarrett's pit. Jerry, what are they talking about?
Well, it was sort of a team conference, Bob. The 88 pits and the 28 pits were together, and Robert Yates was involved. What they were trying to discuss here a moment ago was who had what tires left in case they do have to come down pit road one more time. They're not planning on another pit stop for either car, but who had sticker tires, who had scuff tires, and most importantly, they came up to Robert, who runs the show, Robert Yates we're talking about, said, let's check and see, make sure we can both make it on fuel. They both said they're okay on fuel, but one guy who won't make it apparently going behind the wall is Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, the Miller Lite Ford is behind the wall, and so Rusty Wallace's day may be over. At least his possibility of winning this race is over. Jeff Burton, they continue to work on his car. He goes back out there. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. There's the overhead view once again of Atlanta Motor Speedway from the Pennzoil copter cam, circling over on the back stretch, but giving us the shot of the front straightaway, which will be the back stretch next year because they're changing the configuration of this racetrack, and it will be ready for November. And they're also building new grandstands over on what will become the front stretch.
So, folks, if you want to see the final race of the 1997 season here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, they're ensuring that you can. 37,000 new seats going up.
Rusty Wallace is behind the wall, and you see he's out of the car, and the crew's still working on it, trying to get him back into the race. Let's go to Bill Weber.
And Rusty Wallace has been watching his crew work on his car. I know you're disappointed. What happened out there, man?
Well, I don't know what happened. A couple cars took on 2 tires, and I don't know if they got loose by doing that or what, but right before that, Robin says, watch for oil going into turn 1 and 2. And then I saw Musgrave get real loose and spinning on top of the racetrack, and I went to the bottom. Of the car. Whoever's behind me couldn't get slowed down. I got tagged in the back, and that was about it.
You guys really worked hard to get back on that lead lap, too.
Yeah, we started 38th. We're up to 7th, and the car was running pretty good. We loosened it up right there at the end. I think I had a good car.
Okay, that's Rusty Wallace. He won last week, but not this week.
Some dramatic shots here from Ted Musgrave's onboard camera. Fasten your seat belts in your easy chair as we ride with Ricky Craven. Man, you just don't know where to go, and unfortunately Ricky Craven chose the wrong way because he had just total impact there with Ted Musgrave's car.
And we see all those fellas cleaning with the oil dry, trying to clean up the racetrack. This is really playing in the hands of those fellas that we thought about might not can make it. These caution laps have reduced speed. They're not using nearly as much fuel, and they should be able to make it now. As we see the Radio Shack field summary.
With 11 cars on the lead lap. Darrell Waltrip in 12th a lap down. Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter, is 14th a lap down.
Now we look back to 16 through 30, Lake Speed. And Rick Mass, Spencer, Petty. Now all those cars 1 lap down. Then Trickle heads the cars that are 2 laps down. Just 4 of those cars.
And now the remainder of the field. And again, the list of those out of the race is growing because of the accidents and other attrition that we've had. But look down on the bottom of the list. The 42nd finisher in today's event was Jeff Gordon, who dropped out very early because of engine failure. And so the points leader will suffer greatly here in this event in terms of the point standings.
There we see Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter. That's the Briggs & Stratton onboard camera, the face cam, as we just leisurely sitting back and say, this is nice. What a way to make a living, huh?
In about 45 minutes, coming up next after our coverage of this event, we'll have the International Race of Champions, the first of 4 events for the IROC Series this year. That's the one that was held at Daytona International Speedway during Speed Weeks. It involves, of course, 12 identically prepared cars, 12 of the greatest drivers in the world, and 3 of the greatest announcers in the world, Benny Parsons, Paul Page, and Jack Arute.
And folks, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this. I think in the first 10 laps, there were 8 different leaders. The Pontiac Firebirds were awesome this year.
That's at 5 o'clock Eastern Time at about 45 minutes from right now. Coming up next here on ABC after the PRIMESTAR 500. Still under caution here at Atlanta because of the multi-car accident in the backstretch. Now, Ricky Craven is okay, and we'll talk with him hopefully in a few minutes. We will talk now with Ted Musgrave.
And Ted, you're limping a little bit. You okay?
Well, what a spectacular way to end the PRIMESTAR 500, huh?
I didn't want to bring that up.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I thought I was going to at least get a good top 10 for the sponsor, you know, maybe top 5. But like I say, the car was just a tick loose, but I don't know what happened down there. It got away so fast on me. I'm not really sure if we run over something or whatever, but I just couldn't gather it back in and tried my darndest. But the guys were working hard, you know, we just kept working at it. Hopefully a top 10 for the PRIMESTAR Family Channel car, but it turned out a total wreck.
An incredible hit, Ted.
You wouldn't believe it. I got the frame rail to the right side over by my shifter. I can actually reach out and touch the frame rails over there. I'd never seen a car with so much damage and come out okay, so that thing must be built safe.
Okay, another testament to how safe they are. Jerry Punch.
About 10 minutes ago, we saw a team meeting here in the Yates pits with the 88 crew of Dale Jarrett, the 28 crew of Ernie Irvin. What they were trying to do was calculate the fuel mileage, and here's the result. The 88 car could go the rest of the way, no problem, but the 28 car of Ernie Irvin could not make it the rest of the way. That is until this caution flag came out. I'm told by one of the engine builders the carburetor on Dale Jarrett's car is a little more efficient, doesn't burn as much fuel as the one on Irvin's car. This caution flag should allow Ernie Irvin to make it the rest of the way on fuel.
Well, Jerry, we take a look at fuel. We told you before that this team, Terry Labonte's team, had no intentions of coming onto pit road. But here were some numbers that concerned us. They were averaging about 64 laps a pit stop. When they last pitted on 259, I meant they would have to go about 68 laps. But here's the deal now. With all these cautions, there is no question that this team can go the distance. They don't intend to come back in here. For good news about another driver that was in that crash, let's check in with Bill Weber.
Thanks, Jack, and the day is over for Ricky Craven. First of all, you're okay.
Oh, yeah. It amazes me, though. You know, you run 200 laps here in Atlanta, 150, 200 laps without a caution, and then you have 3 or 4 in a row.
What happened out there, Ricky?
Well, you know, what got us was just out of everybody's control, and Ted was spinning, and I watched him all the way from 2, and I had the brakes on. If you're not going to stop, I had a car to the low side of me, so I'm pinned up against the wall, and I never expected him to come back up. I mean, the back stretch is banked, and he just was spinning so much it carried him back up right in front of us, and go to Darlington.
Okay, that's Ricky Craven. He's obviously very disappointed.
I, too, was a little surprised, Benny, that he did come back up on the track, but he came up right in the path of Ricky Craven. It just happened so quickly. And one thing we can be very, very thankful for, and that is the impact was on the passenger side.
Exactly. You see Ricky Craven, and he's not limping at all, walking away, and looks like he is going to be A-OK. KK said, "You sure you're okay?"
Boy, back down to Jack.
Bob, real quick, Gary Dehart has radioed to Terry Labonte the condition of Dale Jarrett's car. They were talking back and forth. They don't feel that that is going to be a big problem, the misfire. But the comment back to Dehart, back to Labonte was, maybe if we can get him to have the header fall off, then we'll have a chance at winning this thing.
Well, let's see what happens here as we get ready for the restart. It will be at least another lap and a half before they get the green, so we'll take another quick break and be back for more from Atlanta Motor Speedway and the PRIMESTAR 500. ABC's coverage of the PRIMESTAR 500 continues from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the teams have just been given the 1 lap to go signal, and the overhead shots courtesy of the Pennzoil Copter Cam. You can see them lining up 2 abreast for the restart. Had a jet dry around the backstretch to blow some of the oil dry away that was put down following that crash that involved Ted Musgrave and Ricky Craven and others. Well, here are the points leaders going into this event, where they started and where they are now. Jeff Gordon, of course, started 23rd, was the first out of the race. Terry Labonte from 2nd to 3rd. Jarrett from 9th to 1st. Rudd from 25th to 40th. And Craven, 13th. He's out of the race. Rudd has just gone back into the race, and so has Rusty Wallace. Now, if points were awarded at this very moment, Jeff Gordon would fall to 4th in the point standings. Jarrett, Terry Labonte, and Mark Martin would be ahead of him, and Bobby Labonte would be 5th in the point standings if those points were awarded right now.
Okay, here we go. Car should be able to go the rest of the way. Pace cars off the racetrack. Green flag is out.
Pretty good jump. That's Mark Martin running in 2nd position and Terry Labonte in 3rd. Walter running right up there at the front of the field, but he is a lap down. We look back on Terry Labonte from Mark Martin's car. Here comes Robbie Gordon out of nowhere.
Wow, where did he come from?
He's a lap down in 14th, but obviously wants to get the lap back. Mark Martin will pass by Darrell Waltrip. This is Robbie Gordon's Briggs & Stratton onboard camera. And there we go! No! Steve Grissom with a horrible crash. And fire on the racetrack.
It's knocked the gas tank out of the 41 car. That's what we see blazing over there. Is I think the gas tank is over against the wall.
This is at the end of the backstretch. Greg Sachs has stopped over there, but the ambulance is on the scene very quickly. The driver involved is Steve Grissom. Just tremendous impact with the wall at the end of the backstretch.
That is not where he made contact with the wall, but I think that would be the gas tank.
I think it.
Have to wait and see.
Yeah. There's not much you can say at this point, except let's just hope and pray that Steve Grissom is okay. The fire crew also quickly on the scene. They have that fire extinguished already. You can see the angle of the wall there at the end of the backstretch. Here is a replay.
And we see him back at the very end of the screen. Right there. Right there is the white car. And Spencer sideways, and Steve Grissom trying to dodge Spencer. Just all of a sudden, boom, and look at the car go up in the air. That's the Mike Skinner car.
Yep.
Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom tried to dodge Skinner. I mean, the 23 car of Spencer. And look, there's the gas tank.
Yes.
Hang on a second. I'll show you this gas tank, folks, as it goes across the racetrack. Right up there is the gas tank.
And it makes contact. It impacts the wall and then splits open, and the fire begins.
I think other cars will go through there, and the exhaust is going to ignite. There we see that car. That's Mike Wallace's Spam car. Goes through the gasoline and ignites it as it goes through.
And there's Kenny Wallace as he goes through also. May have made contact there with Grissom's car as it still has not stopped rolling or pirouetting. And the wall just, and there is where Grissom made contact with that inside wall, and it split it right in two in several places. So they continue to work to get Steve out of the car. Here's the Pennzoil Copter Cam shot.
And there we see Grissom. There we see the gasoline. Look at all that gasoline when it ignites, when he hits the wall. And there we see Mike Wallace go through, ignite the gasoline. Wow.
Steve Grissom, originally from Alabama, has been making his home in Concord, North Carolina, driving the Kodiak Chevy, owned by the Larry Hedrick team.
Obviously, you can see that the race has been red flagged by the NASCAR officials to get all the safety equipment there that they need. Hard impact with the wall from Grissom as he tried to avoid the 23 car.
We understand that they have gotten him out of the car. He is on the stretcher and being loaded into the ambulance. Steve is married, his wife Susan. They have one child, Kyle, who was born back in 1989. One of the most vicious accidents we've seen in Winston Cup racing in a long time.
There we see the guys, they're watching the TV, they're watching the monitor just like we are to see if they can tell anything about their driver. I'm told that he right now is holding his own oxygen mask as they place it over his nose.
He appears to be conscious. His eyes are open and he is holding his own oxygen mask. Wow. We'll continue to monitor this situation very closely, and just as soon as we have any concrete information on the condition of Steve Grissom, we will of course pass it along to you. In the meantime, let's take a break. The PrimeStar 500 has been red flagged here at Atlanta because of a horrifying crash involving Steve Grissom. Now, we did see him holding his own oxygen mask as he was loaded into the ambulance, and he even waved as he went into the ambulance. The ambulance has arrived at the Infield Medical Center, and of course he will be checked over there, and if necessary will be transferred somewhere else. This accident occurred very, very quickly, as most of them do. We're going to take another look at the replay since we now know that apparently there's no serious injury.
I mean, is that unbelievable? It's unbelievable how quickly that Steve Grissom is going straight, and the next instant he's going straight into the wall and backs into the wall, and then over he goes. And gasoline is thrown every place. Mike Wallace goes through it, ignites the gasoline. Kenny Wallace comes through, almost hits the 41 car as he's coming to a stop.
And now we'll take a look at it in slow motion.
Back here is the car that we're talking about. There's Grissom. There we see the 23 car. Now then, the 23 car is spinning. Now Steve Grissom tries to avoid him. He turns. He does avoid him. Mike Skinner comes along, boom, and runs over the 23. Now here comes the 41. Pieces are coming off the car. The flaps come up to keep the car on the ground. Now watch the retaining wall as he makes contact. And this guy here needs to turn around and look the other direction. And boom, the wall just comes apart. And then he comes off the wall, and all that is gasoline. And here goes the gas tank across the racetrack. Jeff Bodine goes by. The gas tank goes up against the outside retaining wall and stops. And as Mike Wallace comes through, he will ignite. There he ignites the gasoline.
And here's the 81 coming along, and he makes slight contact with the 41 car right there. And the 81 car did have some significant damage as a result of hitting mostly debris that was coming off of Grissom's car. There's another view of the wall that was just shattered when Grissom hit it. One thing in Steve's favor, he was a tremendous athlete at Gadsden, Alabama High School. Here's Bill Weber.
Okay, Bob, we're back here at the Infield Medical Center, and several team members and family members from other teams have been into the medical center, and I just spoke with Diane Bodine, who came out and told me that Steve is complaining of an ankle injury, and that's it. His wife Susan is in there. They have spoken, so Steve appears to be okay. He does have an ankle injury. That's what he's telling the medical people right now, so we'll have more information, but right now it certainly appears to be extremely good news for Steve Grissom after a horrifying crash on the backstretch here.
Well, I'll take an ankle injury for what he could have come out of this with, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's no back of the car. It's completely gone. The Kodiak Chevrolet, it's just gone. They do now have the car righted, and we'll put it on the rollback and drag it back to the garage area. There's not much left to take home, but maybe the engine is still good.
And again, Steve continues to be in tremendous shape, and I think that's one thing that is in his favor. He was the Gadsden, Alabama High School football team captain in 1981. In fact, turned down a football grant to Alabama because he wanted to drive race cars. He also played basketball and baseball at Gadsden High School. Jerry?
And Bob, he turned down offers to play at Alabama and Auburn as a high school All-American. Now, the pace car a moment ago came up to the start-finish line and stopped. That's the second time the car has come there. That time it came to pick up Ed Clark from Atlanta Motor Speedway. A moment ago it came and picked up Mike Hilton, the vice president for competition for NASCAR, who came down out of the NASCAR booth and has since gone to the backstretch to look at that cracked concrete wall. They want to survey where the wall is broken, if it presents a problem for the teams to be able to complete the race, and what must be done, if anything, to fix the wall and how quickly they could fix it. There's the work continuing over in turn 3, the damage, and there are people there surveying that crack in the concrete. See that van to the right of your screen? That's the van that picked up Mike Hilton. And the guy in the blazer is Mike Hilton. He's looking at the wall. There's Mike there talking to some of the other officials here, the NASCAR officials that are there. And there Mike walking back toward the wall. Thank you, Benny Parsons, for circling Mike Hilton. And Ed Clark should be coming very shortly to that scene in the pace car to talk with the NASCAR officials.
Now the pace car arrives on the scene.
There we see Ed Clark just getting out of the pace car. He is the general manager of this facility here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
And he now comes over to have conversation with Mike Hilton. Well, you can see that there is quite a bit of separation there, that grassy area between the concrete wall and the chain link fence that keeps the people from the racetrack.
Yeah, you see there's dirt behind that wall. The top of the wall, I mean, the wall is cracked, obviously. It's obviously cracked all the way down, but there's a lot of dirt behind that wall. And we see the crew still trying to put the 41 car.
What's left of the 41 car doesn't even look like a race car because the back half is missing. And they're having difficulty getting it even on the rollback. Jerry, why the problems here?
Well, ordinarily when they use a rollback like this, Bob, they simply hook to the front of the car and drag it up on the frame. And what we are being told by NASCAR on the radio is there is no frame left under the car to drag it up on, so the car keeps catching on the edge of the rollback. They finally decided just to get the front of the car on the rollback, pivot the rollback forward because the back of the car doesn't exist anymore, and that'll be enough to get the car pulled off the racetrack.
But you know, look at this car. I mean, the back of it's gone, but here's where the driver sits, and that really and truly is in good shape.
Yep, they build these cages that the driver sits in, very strong, and fortunately for Steve Grissom, it held up well.
Wow. Look at that. The axle housing itself, they're hauling it back with a record. There's a trailing arm. The thing, this piece here is one that you've always heard about, the long trailing arm, the truck trailing arm. That's what that is. It's been broken loose, sheared loose from the cross member up of the transmission where it hooks.
Remember last year, this car was involved in another terrifying crash at Talladega when Ricky Craven was in the cockpit. And so this team obviously building some very strong race cars.
And NASCAR, Gary Nelson, his guys are ensuring these guys that the drivers at the race cars are built safe. They'll look at this car. Gary Nelson and all of his guys will go over this car and say, look, is there something that we can do to ensure that this doesn't happen the next time? But again, with an impact like that, fortunately the car did tear apart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an impact like that, it's going to tear up some stuff.
Yeah, often when a car flies apart and disseminates that energy, it keeps it from the driver who might otherwise suffer the injury. Well, some cleanup going on back there. They're throwing some blocks of concrete that have been broken away from the wall. As to what they have decided, if anything, to do about this situation, we don't know at the moment. Ed Clark and Mike Helton both remain out there supervising the cleanup and what might amount to some repair to that wall. Well, 284 laps have been completed here under the red flag because of the Steve Grissom accident. Back in a moment. PrimeStar 500 has been stopped because of an accident at the end of the backstretch involving Steve Grissom. He is in the infield care center, and the latest update is that he is complaining of an ankle injury, but other than that, apparently he is okay. Well, we can't overemphasize the amount of safety that is built into these cars. Earlier today, we saw Ricky Craven in a very hard impact with Ted Musgrave as they came off of the second corner, and both of these drivers were okay, but look at this impact.
I mean, you're doing 60, 70 miles per hour, and you stop in the matter of feet. And we've talked to both these guys, and they said, man, I hate it happened.
But they're okay. And now, this accident just a few minutes ago that scared the heck out of everybody.
Wow.
Jerry is standing by now with Todd Parrott in the pit area.
Todd, before we talk about your race car in this race, when you see an accident like that as a crew chief, you have to be thankful for the rules that mandate that you build them safe.
Yeah, I mean, I just thank the good Lord nobody got hurt over a while ago, Jerry. That was a pretty violent crash, you know, and fuel cell comes out of a car like that and rear end housing flying all over the place. You know, just you can't say enough for what NASCAR does for our sport and mandating all the rules, you know, for the roll cages and all that stuff. You know, we got people building some new cars these days, and, you know, they're on top of what's happening with the car building business, and, you know, got to thank the good Lord that they are.
Indeed we do. Let's talk about your driver now, Dale Jarrett. The problem at lap 190, the ignition goes away, goes to a backup ignition, and boom, a head or two breaks on the car. How much of a problem will that be in these final laps, or will it be?
I hope that, like I told somebody a while ago, that guy upstairs is looking down on us, and it won't be a problem whatsoever. We've had a great race car today, and had a great race car the last 3 weeks. Just the end of the race, we hadn't been in a position where we need to be, and that's first. So just hope that, you know, this thing gets going back and we can lead these last 43 laps and win this thing.
What about allowing the cars to sit on the racetrack? Now the drivers are sitting over there, the car is sitting over there cooling down. What concerns you most? You were talking to Robert Yates, who is the team owner for both these teams, about some of the things a moment ago. Any concerns about the engines?
No, I mean, just like I said, I mean, we're just sitting here with our fingers crossed, hope that there's nothing going on inside that little thing. You know, there's a bunch of pieces sitting over on that back stretch, and anything can happen. You know, this is racing, and just hope that that thing fires back up and we can run up front. You know, the pit crew's done a great job all day, and can't say enough for this Ford Quality Care, Ford Credit Thunderbird team.
Well, maybe after leading the most laps the last two events, you will finally get one today.
Yeah, maybe we can get one, and I can bring a big trophy home to Tyler. He's last 2 weeks, when I got home from the race, he said, Dee, how come you didn't bring home the trophy? So maybe today we can bring it home.
Well, you can see how emotional it gets just thinking about a victory as the new piece of wall goes in over in turn 3, and some of the strategy being played out here in the pits. The fingers are crossed down here in the Yates pits. How about up where you are, Jackaroot?
Well, Jerry, you were talking about the fact that the cars are isolated away. The biggest thing that Gary Dehart wanted to talk to his driver about was not the condition of his race car. He was checking the monitor here on the War Wagon and trying to update Terry as to the condition of the drivers. So you're pretty happy with the condition of your car right now?
Jackie, we can't outrun that Ford right now, so no, we could be a little bit better, I guess.
What happens when you do get up there and you start running with them? What happens to the car?
Well, when we get directly behind somebody, the front end, this arrow thing, you know, take off and want to push a little bit. Plus, we've been loose a little bit all day long, too. So we're just not set up like we really need to be. We could be a little bit better, you know, but you know, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. Must be pretty good to keep up with the 88 car. You know, they got a lot more horsepower than we got.
Now, when you, okay, we're going to let you politic for that, but let's talk a little bit about some of the, you know, I was fascinated during the stops, not making a lot of major changes. You were dialing that chassis in a half pound, a pound at a time in the air pressure. These cars have become that sensitive.
Yeah, Jackie, they are. You know, we do half pound. Sometimes we do them all the way around. Sometimes you do it just the rear, just the front. Depends on what it is. You just got to do what you got to do all day long. That's about the only adjustments you got. You can play with a wedge and a track bar up, down, stuff like that. But, you know, that's air pressure is your biggest thing, really.
Bob, you can tell that we've known each other for a long time. This is one of the few guys on pit road that still calls me Jackie.
Yeah, I've been tempted to do that several times today, but I've controlled myself. And there, of course, is the car that Gary was talking about, the number 5 Kellogg Chevy driven by Terry Labonte, currently running in 4th position. You can see that some new concrete is being brought in back there, and they've even got a backhoe out there to reinforce the wall that was shattered by Steve Grissom's impact. Let's take a look at how they are running at the moment, with Dale Jarrett in the lead and Mark Martin second, then Ernie Irvin. Terry and Bobby Labonte are 4th and 5th. Michael Waltrip is 6th, then Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd, Johnny Benson, Jeff Burton, and Bobby Hamilton is the last car on the lead lap.
And Darrell Waltrip, Ward Burton, Robbie Gordon, Lake Speed, that rounds out the top 15. 16 through 30, we see Mast Andretti. Spencer was involved in the crash over there. Kyle Petty. Grissom also involved in the crash. Skinner also involved in the crash. Dick Trickle, Brett Bodine, Chad Little, Jeff Bodine, Sterling Marlin, the David Green car, Kenny Wallace, Kenny Schrader, and Rusty Wallace. Here's 31 through 42. Musgrave is out of the race. Mike Wallace, we saw him ignite the fire over there. And Jeff Gordon, the first car out today.
Bill Weber has the interview that we've been wanting to hear.
And this is Susan Grissom, Steve Grissom's wife. And first of all, how is he?
He is fine, what will be expected. I have talked to him. He talked to me and Kyle. They're just checking him out. His ankle was bothering him, but other than that, he asked what happened, so I think he's going to be fine. I just appreciate all the concern and all the prayers, and all the wives have come over, and it's amazing just what NASCAR is, and what, you know, just a family.
Okay, I can feel you shaking. You're okay.
I want everybody at home. He's fine, and we'll be home soon.
All right, thanks, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
Back up top, guys.
Yeah, this is a family affair. I mean, when something is threatened, like we had just a few minutes ago, it becomes everybody's concern.
Oh, yeah. Steve Grissom only lives about 2 blocks from me up in Concord, North Carolina. So we see they're digging a hole out behind the walls to put this new piece of concrete behind there to reinforce the wall. That's what they've decided to do.
Given no estimate right now on the amount of time that might be involved here.
Benny, we talk all the time about what it does to the cars, what it does to the crews, but you've sat at the keyboard of these things and you've had to sit through a red flag or two. What does it do to a driver? You've had the adrenaline going for 2.5 or 3 hours, and all of a sudden it comes to a stop. You're concerned about your fellow driver. What's going through those drivers' heads out there?
I think that's right now what they're most concerned about, and I hope that all the word can get back there, that we've talked to Susan Grissom, that Steve is okay. I hope that all these guys are able to get that information, because they are concerned about him. But once they start the cars back up and NASCAR says, okay, we're going to race for these last 30 or 40 laps, hey, they've got a job to do. They know they've got the job to do, and that's try to beat that guy in front of them. That's the job that they've got to do, and they will try their best to do it. And, Jackie, I believe that they will simply put this out of their mind.
You got to do that because the race must go on, and it will resume here before long, we hope. But right now, red flag as the repair to the concrete wall out of the backstretch continues here at Atlanta. Back in a moment.
ABC Sports coverage of the PrimeStar 500. Brought to you by Team Monte Carlo, Chevy, the cars more champions trust. Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. And the more than 1,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
And we welcome you back to the PrimeStar 500, where the red flag continues to be out here because of an accident on the backstretch that has apparently resulted in no driver injury, but the inside concrete wall in the backstretch has been severely damaged, and they're making repairs to it. So until we can get that situation repaired, we are going to remain under this red flag. Here is what caused the damage.
Coming off the second corner, we see the 23 car is going to spin right there, and then the 41 car is going to try to dodge, and watch it hits the wall.
Driver of the 41 car, Steve Grissom, he is reported to be okay, although possibly with an ankle injury. We've talked to his wife, Susan, and she has very optimistic news regarding Steve Grissom.
There is the piece of concrete that is going to receive Mark Martin as he has his helmet off. He's trying to look into the sun.
And Jerry Punch is with his crew chief.
Well, while Mark Martin lounges over in turn 2, we'll talk to some of the Valvoline crew here. Jimmy Finnick, the crew chief. First of all, Jimmy, you sit second right now, 44 laps to go. Do you have anything at all for the 88 car of Dale Jarrett?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything left in the car. If there's anything left, Mark's got something left. But that 88's been strong all day. We'll just have to see.
Now, what about you guys have been fighting different chassis problems today? The car first was loose, then it was tight. Where are you now?
Right now, he said we haven't changed in the last set, that last set of tires to this set. So right now, it's about where he wants it. It's about neutral.
Okay, you said you may not have much for the 88, but your concerns are with the other Yates car, right?
At 28's coming up pretty fast. Ernie's coming up pretty fast. So I think we'll just have to see what happens on the restart, see if we can get by some lap traffic and go from there.
All right, that's Jimmy Finnick, who's the crew chief for Mark Martin. First he was tight, then he's loose. Now he's all right, but is concerned about the car back in 4th spot, Ernie Irva. But there's a car back in 5th that could also come in a hurry. Let's check in their pits.
And this is Jimmy Makar, the crew chief for Bobby Labonte. When we were here in November, I think you finished in Victory Lane over there. How about backing that up?
Well, right now, things are looking fairly good. We're not in a position we want to be right now. That's obviously be first. But we've got the leaders in sight. The car's been pretty good all day long. We've just had poor track position. You know, the qualifying hurt us, and then passing's been extremely difficult for everybody today. So getting to the front's been hard. But the car has been fast. You know, on these long green stretches, we've been able to close in on Dale. So we just need to get a chance to get up there and race with him and see what happens.
A couple of things have happened. I think you guys got trapped in traffic on one of the restarts, and then I know you went over to the 21 bunch and asked Michael to look at, I think, your right front.
Yeah, Bobby thought he might have run over something and possibly had a tire going down. So we asked Michael to look at it and see if it was, and he said it wasn't. But what happened there on that restart is we had gotten a bunch of rubber buildup on it, and he didn't get all of it off and went down into turn 1, and the car slid out from under him going in the corner, wouldn't turn. So a couple of them got by there. So we learned a little lesson and scuffed them a little harder the next couple times, and it's been okay.
Okay, good luck when we get this thing restarted.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Jerry Punch.
We're with Robert Yates, who owns the car 88 and the car 28 that are currently 1st and 4th. And Robert, what we're hearing, we know the 88 car is strong. We're hearing the 28 car is going to come in a hurry when they drop the green flag. Now, that's a good problem to have.
Well, it is. You know, the 88 car is really dialed in today. I'll tell you what, they've been awesome all day long. And, you know, they've had a few things get them at the end of the race. Not as bad as it does in the 28, but I just like to get out of here with 1-2, either way, however it falls.
Now, you know how Rick Hendrick feels when he has 3 cars out there battling like they were in Daytona for first, second, and third. What happens to you? Do you hide those last few laps if it is Jarrett and Irvin battling for the win?
Well, I'll tell you, this business always makes you nervous, and having 2 cars out here, I guess, makes you double nervous, and I don't see how Rick Hendricks could stand it.
All right, that's Robert Yates. He has 2 of the cars in the top 4, and 2, if you believe people on pit road, who could have a good shot at battling for the win. Let's check in once again with Jack Root, who's caught up with the Earnhardt crew chief.
And Larry McReynolds, it seems to be a never-ending litany. You're close, but not close enough. How bad are you chasing it today?
Well, it's like the top of our fence is so narrow. You know, we get it loose and try to free it up and it gets loose. We try to make it turn and it gets loose again. We can't get it off the top of that fence. But, you know, if we come out of here today with a good top 5 or 6 finish, the year we've had so far, we'll be tickled to death. You know, we had a great speed weeks at Daytona and was happy with that. But 2 rough weeks at Richmond and Rockingham, we can come out of here, we'll get this ball rolling.
Now, guys, one of the things we haven't talked about all day is the fact that Goodyear brought a brand new tire here. Has that put you at odds a little bit, trying to figure out how the tire reacts when you put it on the car?
Well, Larry McReynolds at odds a lot of things. You know, I don't have nothing different from what I raced here last year. You know, the tire's different, working with a Monte Carlo, chassis is a little bit different. We got the cold air boxes, but I ain't going to give up. I'm going to keep fighting and keep trying. I think I got the greatest race car driver that's out there to work with, and he deserves to be back up front.
There's another guy that's really done well today, Michael Waltrip, and Bill Weber is with the 2nd-generation leader of the famed Wood brothers.
And Eddie Wood's just sitting here watching a little TV, trying to keep up on what's going on. What a spectacular day you guys are having.
Yeah, we've had a pretty good day so far. Michael's been running really well. We seem to be better on a long run because he runs up high, and we're a little tight in the middle of the run towards the end, but everybody else seems to be getting worse too. But by the time we really get rolling, either a caution comes out or it's time to change tires, and they kind of get away from us again. So we're kind of hoping for a long run right here.
How did he find that high groove? He is really running up there.
I don't know. I didn't get to watch the Busch race yesterday, but I asked him a while ago, I said, did you run high yesterday? And he said, nope, not a lap. So he just went up there and found it, and immediately when he did it, he picked up like 2/10, and so we just decided to stay up there. And we were getting ready to adjust the car because it was too tight down on the bottom. And when he moved up, it just fixed it. So, you know, like I said, we're still a little bit tight, but I'm scared to death to mess with it, you know. So I think we're going to just leave ours alone.
So a long run, and maybe you can rope in the 88 and some of the other guys.
I don't know whether anybody's going to catch the 88 or not, but, you know, like I said, I said I'd like to have a long run. Being as I said that, we'd probably need a caution. You know, it's everything I think it goes backwards. So I don't know. I think we're going to be okay.
Okay, you've had a great day. Good luck down the stretch here.
Thank you, sir.
Michael Walter, by the way, finished 3rd in yesterday's Busch Grand National race held here at Atlanta. Well, coming up next after our coverage of this event from Daytona International Speedway, the International Race of Champions, with drivers like Al Unser Jr., Jimmy Vasser, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and others. 12 identically prepared cars. That's on ABC Sports next after our coverage of this event. So stay tuned after this from our ABC stations. We'll have more of the PrimeStar 500 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. There you're looking into turns 1 and 2 here at Atlanta. On the left are some suites that have been built since Bruton Smith bought this racetrack a few years ago. And then if we keep going over, you're going to be able to see some new stands that are being built. 37,000 new seats that are under construction and will be ready for the fall race here. That's when the front stretch, now the front stretch becomes the back stretch, and the start-finish line moves over there. And the track repair continues, but it looks like they're making great progress.
Yes, it does. And folks, you know, this racetrack right now is a true oval. But when we come back in November, it will be a double dogleg or D-shaped tri-oval. There's the area that they're working on. This will be the front stretch.
Well, Dr. Jerry Punch is down on pit road, and he's standing by with the King.
Actually, we're squatting here on the wall, Bob, and who better knows how well these cars are built than a man who took one wild ride back in February of 1988 in a Pontiac at Daytona. And Richard, just seeing that film still makes me shudder. And you were in the race car, but you got to believe these cars are so well put together that the driver feels pretty comfortable.
Well, you know, you feel pretty confident in the thing. Not that you say I can't be hurt or anything, but that's the furthest thing from your mind when you're driving the race car is that you're going to get hurt or have any accidents or that. But the cars are built good. I mean, that 88 deal, I mean, the car come all to pieces and stuff. And, you know, they got me out of the car and I walked around over there and everything was fine. Didn't put a scratch on me anywhere. So, you know, I've got a lot of confidence in them. And that's one of the first things I think most of the boys look at. They want to run fast, but safety comes first.
Now, your car here today, Bobby Hamilton, just did miss that accident in the backstretch. I mean, he almost didn't get through it.
Yeah, he's been close to a couple of them today, but Bobby's pretty good about that kind of stuff. I don't know, he's got a sixth sense or something about steering around the wrecks, and, you know, that saves us a lot of race cars.
Well, we're showing the replays. The car actually just missing the Spencer car, which was spinning, and that's what the Grissom car, he goes very, very high. The Grissom car was trying to miss Spencer. He took the high line, able to get by, and now, geez, he just misses that accident. He sits the last car on the lead lap in 11th spot. Do you have anything for him left? Can you improve that position?
Well, we've been running around 7th to 10th or 12th all day, just in and out, just according to where you are track position. And I think we decided we're last one on the lead lap. I think they're going to stop and put some tires on. Maybe that'll help him for 5 or 6 laps anyway. So, you know, we're going to do everything we can.
Okay, King, thanks for visiting with me.
Okay, buddy.
Richard Petty, a 6-time winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway. His car sits in 11th spot right now. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
And it's ice cream time here in the pits of the Exide Batteries team, and Buddy Parrott has made a delivery of drumsticks. Obviously a lull in the action here, and what has been a great day for you again.
Well, it really has. I'm real happy with the guys and the way they've done. The pit stops have been great. With first pit stop, I think we gained about 12 positions, and Jeff's done a great job. We've been, you know, the car gets in the corner good and right in the middle, it a little loose, but, you know, we've been adjusting tire pressures and things like that. But all in all, we've had a great day. What we're really happy about, you know, we finally made the race down here and didn't have to use provisional, but Exide battery car is doing great, and like I said, we need to bring it home. We need to redeem ourselves from the 42nd starting position. I mean, the finishing position at Richmond. And I know Jeff Gordon's having the same thoughts now. So the points are really, really important, you know, for how you line up, and if you do have a problem and need a provisional. There was a lot of good cars went home from the race, this race, and but I'll tell you what, our thoughts are really. I was up there and I watched that deal on the backstretch, and Steve Grissom got to be a real good friend of mine when I was over at the 29 car, and he's a great guy, and I'm just glad he's okay.
Okay, and so are we all. Well, we often have our track facts on these broadcasts. Here's our ABC Jack fact.
Well, Bill, all the time we talk about a car pushing or being loose, or if you're over in open-wheeled racing, they talk about oversteer or understeer. Well, let's, with apologies to Bill Nye, the science guy, give you a little primer about the difference. Let's pretend that the top of this wall is the racetrack in the middle of a corner. This is the race car. You notice I use a recyclable here. If the car is pushing, when the driver turns the wheel, the car still wants to go towards the wall. You've had that happen to you in a car if you've ever been in snow. When you would turn the wheel, the front end would still go. Now, that is called push. Now, the way to tell whether that's oversteer or understeer, push has a U in it, understeer has a U in it. It's also known as understeer. Now, what about being loose? You go into the corner, and what happens is the car wants to flop ends. That means the rear of the car is loose. Or, because it has an O, it could also be oversteer. Depends on the geographic location and the racing discipline, whether it's push or loose. But one thing that's universal, guys, when you have either condition, it's not something you really like.
You know, I'm glad he did that, the U and the O thing, because I've always tried to figure out the difference in oversteer and understeer.
Did you always prefer a slightly tight or slightly loose car?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can ought to correct a car that's pushing. Really and truly, all you need to do is back off the throttle. I mean, obviously, if you back off a great deal, well, you're not going to run very fast. But to cure that problem, you back off the throttle. A loose condition, there is no cure. I mean, it's like driving down a hill in ice and snow. Up a hill is no problem. but down the hill is really, really tough.
There you see they're putting another reinforced piece of concrete behind there. I think that's the third one that they're putting in place. Plus they've got one here on the front. So they are making great progress back there. But at the moment, we haven't been given any indication as to how soon this event might restart. We're at lap 284, and 328 is the scheduled distance. Now, Darrell Waltrip is parked at the top of the racetrack with the car facing downhill. Why is that?
Well, because there's no one there to help Darrell Waltrip. And we see that the bank back there, this is angled. It's angled down this way, probably 5 or 6 degrees. When they say start these cars back up to start the race, if Darrell Waltrip hits the starter in the Western Auto Chevrolet and it does not fire, he will simply let the car roll down the hill, and when he picks up a little bit of a speed, he will let the clutch out and start the car that way rather than using the starter. At least it will roll down the hill there.
Darrell Waltrip, along with Michael Waltrip, David Green, and Jeremy Mayfield, are drivers that grew up around Owensboro, Kentucky, and that's been one of the hardest hit areas with the flooding that's going on around the Ohio River and other parts of the Midwest. So we want to take time out to say we wish our best to those flood victims in the Midwestern part of the state. We understand, Benny, that Morgan Shepherd here in the #1 car doesn't have a clutch in this car.
Wow.
Jackaroo, you have more?
Well, look at this. Now, this is Morgan Shepherd's crew, and they don't seem too concerned about the fact that Morgan Shepherd doesn't have a clutch. They're more concerned about the vittles. Benny, eat your heart out. But, hey, guys, I just want to break the news to you. We just heard that Morgan doesn't have a clutch. Has he talked to you? Talked to any of you about that?
We're all right. We're okay. Good to go.
We're okay. Pass the mustard. I'll tell you what. Maybe, like Bobby Unser says sometimes, they don't always tell you the truth.
Morgan has certainly had a good run here today. He'll line up 8th when we get back to the racing. We saw Buddy Parrott eating an ice cream cone there before, not too long ago when he was talking with us. You have a story, I think, that you remember from your driving days regarding a cone.
Well, it was in the movie Days of Thunder.
Yep.
And, Tom Cruise said, do you want me to pit? And Duvall said, no, wait, we're eating ice cream right now. That actually happened to me. That's where the story came from. It was 1987 in Darlington, South Carolina, and Harry Hyde was my crew chief. And I'd gotten some oil early in the race and knocked the wall down about like that. Only I didn't hit the wall that hard, but I'd torn the car up. We'd fixed it. I was several laps down out there trying to make laps. The caution flag was waved, and I said to Harry, do you want me to pit and change tires? He said, no, not right now. I said, so the next time I came by, I said, Harry, do you want me to pit? No, not right now. I said, what's the problem? He said, well, we're eating rice. There we go. We're eating ice cream right now. I said, as soon as we finish, you come in and make your pit stop. He said, do you want one? So I said, sure. So he gave me one the next time I
Is that right?
Yeah.
Jack?
Bob, he likes to tell stories like that, and he's the king of self-deprecation. But I saw Benny Parsons run in Dover, Delaware one time where the seat broke, Benny. The second lap into the race, and he ran the entire 500 miles at the Monster Mile, holding on to the roll bar to keep himself from the seat whacking back and forth and steering the car. So don't let Benny Parsons ever make fun of himself too much. He was one whale of a race car driver as well.
Well, thank you, Jackie. The weld on the seat broke, and the whole right side just would flop over, and I had to hold into the roll bar to keep me in the car. And helmet's going back on. We see Michael Waltrip. We're getting awfully close to restarting this race.
Jerry is with Tony Glover, who's the crew chief on the pole-sitting car of Robbie Gordon.
Well, Tony is a veteran crew chief, came over to Sabco Racing this year to try to help steer the young rookie toward a promising career in Winston Cup. Did you ever expect that in his 12th start, the young man would sit on the pole at Atlanta?
I tell you, anything or nothing Robbie Gordon does doesn't surprise me. He's got the most incredible talent I've ever saw in a race car driver. And, we got a really good car for him here today, and we got a heck of an engine. And, we got one set of tires, Jerry, that were a little bit too tight, and we messed around and lost the lap on them before we got them off. And we had gotten in position to get our lap back, and they had a yelling. NASCAR said that we had made a mistake getting back in line, so they put us from being on, we would have been inside the second row. They put us all the way to the rear, and in about 20 laps, Robbie has fought his way from the rear all the way back to second in line again, and we got a really fast car. Just have to wait and see how it shakes out. I'd like to be able to get our lap back and, have a yell and have an opportunity to race these guys at the end, because this Coors Light car is really running good today.
We got word a little bit ago that he had some problems in the race car. Might have been sick or burned or something. You were looking for a backup driver. What was that about?
I guess about 200 laps into the race, he got to complaining about his feet burning real bad. He said they were burning a little bit yesterday in practice, and we took some steps this morning to try to make the thing cooler on the inside. Evidently, we didn't get it quite cool enough, and I think he's blistered his feet pretty much, but now since they've had this accident over, it's giving him some time to cool off, and I think he'll be good to go the rest of the way.
You've been with a lot of guys, Ernie Irvin over the years, Sterling Marlin. Give Robbie Gordon a grade. Now, he went to school today, the Atlanta Motor Speedway School of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing, his first ever start. He led quite a few laps up. How would you grade his performance so far?
I think he's did one heck of a job. He's just, like I said before, he's got tremendous talent. He's probably the most determined individual I've ever worked for or worked with in my life. And, he's not a quitter. And right now, he can't wait to get going back to the green flag. He says he's going to get his lap back.
All right, you got to believe Robbie Gordon. He has that determined look. Tony, thanks for visiting with us. Robbie Gordon, another rising young star in NASCAR Winston Cup Racing.
He'll restart 14th, a lap down, but as you can see, he and certainly the rest of us are getting ready to restart this race. The helmets have gone back on, the belts are tightened, the gloves are on, the winter net's being put up, and before long we'll have the green flag to start the remaining laps of this event.
Yeah, we're just minutes away right now from the restart. Once again, here is the rundown, the field summary. There's the leader. There are right now 11 cars in the lead lap. Dale Jarrett is the first one. Bobby Hamilton is the second one. And there we see 4 cars in that group, 1 lap down, racing for positions. And 16 through 30, we'll see 2 more cars. So 6 cars, 1 lap, 7 cars. We see Kyle Petty still is a lap down. So 7 cars, 1 lap down. Grissom is not coming back out. And there is 31 through 42. Jeff Gordon, the first car out here this afternoon in Atlanta.
Engine failure knocked him out of the race very, very soon after the green flag dropped here to begin this thing. So it was a very bad day for Jeff Gordon, and he's going to fall to probably 4th in the point standings after this event. And you can see that the reinforcement has been completed. The backhoe and all the other heavy equipment has left the area of the backstretch where the accident occurred. The lights on top of the pace car are on, and so the command to refire the engines has been given. The car is now rolling down the banking just like we talked about.
And we see Kyle Petty's car starting to roll. Darrell Waltrip. Let's see what Morgan Shepherd, how he's going to pull this trick off. If he doesn't have a clutch, he'll have to start the thing.
Seems to be okay.
Seems to be okay, yeah. It seems to be fine. See, there's Mike Skinner, and he made some pretty serious contact with Spencer when he was spinning this. I'm surprised to see Skinner back.
That car's heavily damaged there in the right front corner, but he apparently is going to try to finish up the last few laps. And more ice cream eating is going on down the pit area. Doc, did you get one?
No, I haven't gotten one yet. They told me they were saving a whole box for Benny. Maybe we'll split them later. Jeff Hammond running down pit road. I said, "What, Jeff? What's wrong? Got tires? Need tires? Need shocks?" Said, "No, I need an ice cream cone." He managed to get one. Hey, 12th right now. First car, 1 lap down. How about these last 44 laps for Darrell Waltrip?
Well, I think it's going to be real tough for all of us. The sun's starting to come down here. Unfortunately, the Western Auto Chevrolet got down a lap. We're not going to be running for the win right now, but we've had a really good day today. We've got a good race car. Darrell drove a well of the race. So we're looking to make a little bit of adjustment here and possibly come down and get us 4 tires, because we still got 40 laps to race. There's a long ways to go, and hopefully whatever has to be settled on the racetrack and not under a caution situation.
Well, Jeff, we'll let you go back behind the wall. We are told when the cars come by, the pit road will be closed the first time by, but the second time by, they will be coming down for tires. We have been waiting for this interview with bated breath. Bill Weber?
Well, on behalf of everybody, I'm glad to see you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I tell you, these guys built a super race car, and I mean, everything done what it was supposed to, and you know, I didn't hit anything that you don't normally hit, you know, with your arm or with your feet or anything. I mean, like I say, they done a super job. The car held up, done what it was supposed to do, and you know, unfortunately, we tore up this Kodiak Chevrolet. But again, you know, the guys, they'll have us something good. We'll be ready to go to Darlington here in a couple of weeks.
Do you recall what happened, Steve?
Yeah, last thing, you know, I remember, I guess, was coming off turn 2 there, and you know, saw a couple cars. One, it kind of got loose, and anyway, he was trying to get it gathered back up, and everybody had to check up. And as we was checking up, you know, it's just kind of one of those deals. I guess the guys behind us didn't see it, and you know, kind of somebody got in the back of me and got sideways. And once you're sideways, you know, you're not driving the thing anymore. You're just kind of a passenger. And you know, with that, you know, from there we come down, got into the inside wall. But still, I mean, again, these guys built a super race car and all, and you know, just looking forward to get back out here, back at Darlington.
Ankle injury?
It's just a little bit stove up, but you know, other than that, I mean, it'll be fine. Maybe just be a little sore tomorrow, but you know, we'll be fine. Hopefully, we'll be in Texas testing here in a couple of days.
Well, you and I have a little running gag. At least you didn't break your nose, right?
Yeah, and that's true.
Okay, Steve. Thanks a lot. Jackaroo.
David Smith finally gets a chance to see his race car for the first time. Mike Skinner brings it down into pit road. And David, what's your assessment?
Well, the front end's been up pretty bad, Jack. We're going to reset the toe end. Just try to clear the sheet metal, let him get back out there and just finish this race. You know, a lot of cars are wrecked, so we can still, you know, maybe get a top 20 out of it.
Now, you can rate this driver sitting on the bowl of the Daytona 500, but now it's the College of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it is. You know, you get off to a pretty decent start, and then, you know, a couple of penalties here and there, just, you know, just get some situations with a rookie deal that, you know, he puts you behind. But Mike said it'll be a good deal. He's a good driver, and we're going to have a good team.
Remember, this guy knows talent. Remember where he used to be? That guy number 3, Dale Earnhardt. Jerry?
Well, Jack, we can show you what's left of Kenny Wallace's Square D Ford Thunderbird that just barely was able to roll down pit road, and now Gil Martin and the Phil Martossi crew will go to work trying to disassemble the front. Most of the front sheet metal has been sheared away. They just pulled the hood off, and apparently the problem they're working on right now is the radiator brackets are loose. The radiator's been shoved back up. It has been ruptured. They have another radiator standing by here behind pit wall. They will pull the one that has been punctured out of the car. The problem is there's so much sheet metal pushed up in the front of the car, they're trying to get it disencumbered from the other parts of the front suspension. So the work continues on the car number 81 of Kenny Wallace as the car number 43 of Bobby Hamilton in and out. You heard Richard Petty tell me a moment ago they were the last car on the lead lap, so they had nothing to lose but to come in and put some 4 tires on the car and fuel. So that was the only car on the lead lap that made a stop. Work continuing here on the car number 81 of Kenny Wallace. It is hoped to get this car back on the racetrack to maybe get some laps and some valuable points. Bob?
Brett Bodine came in, so did Mike Wallace, and as you indicated, we're continuing on Kenny Wallace's car.
Tell you what, these guys are really getting a break. As we see from Dale Jarrett's car, the sun is very, very low in the sky. It looks like that there's going to be some shadows in turn 3 that they might be able to see the racetrack. I was really concerned when this race started back the guys would not be able to have any visibility at all going in turn 3. Right now we're going down the front stretch. We'll have to check this about a lap later and see what it looks like going in turn 3.
The red flag lasted 52 minutes, so kudos to the crew here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for their fast work in getting that wall, which was broken apart by Steve Grissom's impact, reinforced and making the racetrack safe once again. David Green making a pit stop here along the front stretch as we ride along with the leader of the race, Dale Jarrett.
There see him weaving the car back and forth. We heard Jimmy Makar talking about just a little bit ago that Bobby Labonte did not get his tires clean one time, went down in the corner and would not stick because of buildup on the tires. We see Jarrett back and forth weaving, trying to get all the debris off the tires so that it will stick when he goes down in turn 1 that first time they throw the green. Now this is the problem that I was concerned about, Bob, is when the cars turn to go in turn 3 that they will drive into the sun and not be able to have visibility. We see the lights on the pace car that we can still see them, and the sun is over there, so it looked like right now that we are going to have some visibility for these guys. Good news.
Yep. when we come here in the fall race, the sun has become lower in the sky, and it creates even more of a problem than it's going to be today. So that's something we look for in November, when the final race of the year. You know, when they reconfigure this track, though, and make this a quad oval, it could have an effect on the sun and where it is.
It really could. Yeah. Those signals been given from Doyle Ford. One more lap, and the green flag will be waving, and we will be off and running.
And the green will come out on lap 290. Well, regretfully, we're going to have to tell you that the International Race of Champions event from Daytona is going to have to be postponed. We simply won't be able to get to it. It will be rescheduled, however, and we will bring you information on that when it becomes available. So stay tuned, and we will check your listings and make sure that you see all that. One thing we didn't want to do is join it in progress, because there's too much action from beginning to end to interrupt that racing.
Yeah, folks, you just keep checking that schedule, because it is a great, great car race.
Unfortunately, we have had this red flag that's delayed the end of this race, and so that's the reason that the IROC race will be postponed to a different date. The overhead shots coming to you from the Pennzoil Copter Cam, and it has been with us all day long, and still have, what do we have, about 48 laps? No, we'll have 38 laps to go, and about 22 minutes of racing. The lights atop the pace car are out, and we are set to go back racing. Stay with us. This thing is far from over. It's still anybody's race. Dale Jarrett leads him down at a rather slow pace. Now he picks up the accelerator, and the green flag resumes at the PRIMESTAR 500.
And I'm told that the racetrack right now is 22 degrees cooler than it was 1 hour ago when they were racing. So some of these chassis will not be as good as they were an hour ago, or some of them might be better. Oh, the car's very high to get through.
Raising some dust was Robbie Gordon, as his car was high on the racetrack. The drivers complained about the track changing so much during qualifying on Friday, and it's going to change here this afternoon, too.
We can see the cars going by with such a force that it shakes the camera as they go by. There we see Robbie Gordon in front of Ernie Irvin. Irvin is a third-place car.
Robbie is trying to get that lap back, but not having much luck, because that 88 car has taken off like a shot. Here's Dale Earnhardt trying to get through the traffic. He goes to the low side of Darrell Waltrip, looking to the inside at least. Now lines up behind him. It's John Andretti beside him in the 98.
And right now the 44 and 17, Petty and Waltrip are racing for position, but now Earnhardt goes by Petty.
Dale Earnhardt runs in 7th position. You see that on your scoring pylon there on the left side of your screen. Now he goes to the inside of Darrell Waltrip. That's Rusty Wallace, who's come back out of the racetrack, running very slow down the backstretch.
Morgan's going to come off the corner, going to make it 3 abreast. Oh, baby.
Bobby Hamilton remains a contender. He made the pit stop. He's on fresh tires now. The last car on the lead lap. That's why he pitted.
But he will never get through this traffic, I don't think, and get to the leader to use those fresh tires, because he is mired in heavy, heavy traffic.
Looks like the fastest car that last lap was second place Mark Martin, just about half a mile an hour quicker than the leader. Here is Dale Jarrett. The 22 car is not on the lead lap. He is situated between first and second.
And we see what these cooler temperatures are doing to the speed. Earlier today, we've seen 172, 173 miles per hour. Look at this, 179 miles per hour. Here comes Robbie Gordon up on the outside of Mark.
Gordon is passing the second place car, so it is not out of the realm of possibility that he could get back on the lead lap if we have another caution, but he's going to have to, of course, pass the leader to do so. The 5 and 18 cars are battling for 4th position. Terry in front, Bobby, his brother, behind. Bobby going way up
talk about two different lines around a racetrack. And there is a battle for the second spot. The 6 car, the blue and white car, Mark Martin has it. The red and black 28, Ernie Irvin wants it. And Robbie Gordon is slow in front of these cars.
Mark going to the inside. You'll see Robbie on the left of your screen here in just a moment. There he is. Robbie staying ahead of Mark. And the 28 car of Ernie Irvin takes over second spot.
And 18 car takes a look. Bobby Labonte takes a look on the inside of Terry, his brother.
Labonte takes the position from Terry Labonte, and so Bobby moves to 4th. But up front now, it becomes a battle of the Robert Yates cars. Ernie Irvin has moved to 2nd. His teammate Dale Jarrett is the leader of the race. Jarrett has a fairly substantial lead on Ernie at the moment, but here is Ernie going to the inside of Robbie Gordon. And now just one car between first and second. That would be Ward Burton, the lap car. 298 laps are complete. We have 30 to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we will be back after this from our ABC stations as our coverage of the PRIMESTAR 500 continues from Atlanta. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch and Bill Weber back at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the PRIMESTAR 500. We were delayed 52 minutes because of a red flag. We have got 27 laps remaining, actually 26 and a half now before the end of this event. And up front, it is Dale Jarrett. We're watching second and now third place. That's Mark Martin in the 6 car, running in third. The 28 car of Ernie Irvin. Coming up on the 22 car of Ward Burton, who is a lap down in 12th position.
I'll tell you, that one car, Morgan Shepherd, is on the move. He just went by Terry Labonte and moved into 5th spot with this car.
And he's coming up on Bobby Labonte, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Morgan Shepherd, a 3-time winner here in Atlanta. He's won this race twice and the fall race once.
Richard Jackson's car and those guys today have put forth a great race car. They're 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Here's an AutoZone on-track interval showing you that Morgan Shepherd is cutting in to the lead of Dale Jarrett. We timed him on 5 consecutive laps, and he reduced the interval from 3.4 to 2.9. Look at the consistently fast laps of Morgan Shepherd. However, he's got a lot of traffic ahead of him.
Yeah, I don't know how in the world he's going to get by this traffic and get to the leader, Dale Jarrett. And there we see 18 by the 6.
Boy, the positions are changing from lap to lap behind the leader, Dale Jarrett. He has things to himself, but now Morgan Shepherd comes up and takes the spot away from Mark Martin. And the 99 and 21, Jeff Burton and Michael Waltrip are battling for the 7th position, and Burton gets it.
Take a look at the speeds. We see Dale Jarrett, the leader, still the fastest car in the top 10. Here we go. The 1 car goes by Bobby Labonte.
Man, he is on the move, and Morgan moves to 3rd place. Now he's got some free track ahead of him, some clear track.
Labonte comes back, takes a look on the inside. This lap will not be very fast because he was battling that traffic, but still a pretty good lap, a little over 174 miles per hour. And the 43 car, those new tires, he finally has broken clear some of that traffic and now is running 175 miles per hour.
Bobby Hamilton, the fastest that lap, back in 10th position with the new tires. Both Labonte and Morgan Shepherd gain on 2nd place Ernie Irvin.
Let's see, Morgan Shepherd, 175.200 miles per hour.
Jack Arute has a report from the pit area.
Benny, do you remember when you reported that the track temperature had gone down 22 degrees? Well, it went 22 degrees in favor of Morgan Shepherd. I talked with Richard Jackson and I said, what can you account this newfound speed to? And he said, strictly the cooler temperatures. Our car likes it. Our setup has come in. He says, I don't think it's even cooler.
Look at that. He's the only one in the top 5 that was in excess of 175 miles an hour, and he almost ran 176.
Yes, back in the second 5, we'll see the Jeff Burton car will run 175, but Morgan Shepherd is running down the 28 car of Ernie Irvin.
What a performance by Morgan Shepherd here in the late going. The Richard Jackson team came to Daytona without a sponsor on this car. They lined up one for Delco Reaming, and boy, they're glad they did. Well, Dale Jarrett turned it up a notch that last lap, exceeding 175 miles an hour.
Now we see, and Morgan Shepherd still trying to catch Ernie Irvin.
Closing in ever so slightly.
Man, he got a great corner that time by.
Came out awful high though, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a great corner. He got to the exit.
Oh man,
176 miles per hour.
Well, you could just see the momentum he had coming off the corner. It almost carried him out to the wall, but that's the way you want to run to keep up your RPMs and your speed. And man, oh man, look at the interval he was coming into with Ernie Irvin. Now he looks to the bottom of the racetrack. Up in turn 4. He's within just a car length of second place Ernie Irvin.
That time, Jarrett a little bit faster than Morgan Shepherd.
But Morgan still about 0.3 of a mile an hour quicker than Ernie.
And right behind this, the 5 to 99 car, Jeff Burton, goes by Terry Labonte. And Labonte evidently just can't get it going on this set of tires.
Terry Labonte drops back to 7th. The 99 car of Jeff Burton moves up to 6th. 312 of 328 completed. And since we went to the restart after that long red flag period, Jeff Burton has had a good run. He was in 10th place on lap 290, then 9th, then 8th, then 7th, and now he's 6th.
I was just reminded that Terry Labonte put scuffs on that last stop rather than stickers, brand new tires, and that could be hurting him right now.
Jack Arute reported that from the pit area a little bit earlier. Well, once again, Morgan Shepherd is the fastest of the top 10 on that last lap, running at above 175 miles an hour compared to Dale Jarrett's 174.6. Laps to go now in this PrimeStar 500.
You see the 18 car's been able to get by the 6.
There's the amount of racetrack that separates second and third position from the leader, Dale Jarrett. Well, Jarrett has definitely dominated this race here this afternoon. He has led 239 of the 314 laps that we have completed so far. Morgan doesn't seem to have any luck closing in and passing Irvin, does he?
No, he tried the high line that time just to see if that would work for him a little bit and get him closer to Ernie Irvin, and instead he lost distance. Now he goes back to the bottom of the racetrack, right on that white line, and we'll see him close back up. 13 laps to go.
Now make that 12 laps to go as Dale Jarrett crosses the line and puts 3:16 on the board. Jarrett leads. Ernie Irvin in 28 is second. Morgan Shepherd in number 1 is third.
car is really getting through turns 3 and 4.
The last time Morgan Shepherd visited Victory Lane was here at Atlanta in 1993. Now we go back and check up on this battle between Mark Martin and his teammate Jeff Burton as they contest the 5th spot.
We can see the cars are close. Let's see if Burton's able to close in. Yes, he does.
We'll do an interval leaderboard. 2.5-second lead for Dale Jarrett and a 2.9-second lead over 3rd place. And a little more than 11 back to the 10th place and final in the 43 car of Bobby Hamilton. He's going to say the last car on the lead lap, but Johnny Benson is the last car on the lead lap in 11th position. Check it one more time as they come across the line. Closed it just a little bit.
Well, right now they're just simply running out of time. Morgan Shepherd is running out of time. He's starting to lose some space on the 28 car of Ernie Irvin. There we see this is the battle for 5th spot. The 6 car, Mark Martin, the Valvoline Ford, is in 5th and 99. Exide Ford is in 6th, and there's the leader of the race.
8 laps to go. Dale Jarrett crosses the line, completes lap 320. He's maintaining his lead, 2nd and 3rd place. Well, we mentioned it before, but in case you're just joining us, it has been an afternoon of excitement for Dale Jarrett. He has dodged a couple of bullets this afternoon. He had an ignition go bad on him, and he changed that, switched over to the backup ignition. He also was close to being involved in an accident, but Dale Jarrett leads at the moment as we near the end of this event. 7 laps to go, and here is Burton making a bid on Mark Martin. Nope, couldn't do it.
Now he's taking a look on the outside. And he's there on the outside. Takes the spot away.
So Jeff Burton goes to 5th. Mark Martin back to 6th position. Michael Walter continues to run 7th. Terry Labonte is 8th. Dale Earnhardt is 9th. And the 43 of Hamilton is 10th. These are cars owned by Jack Roush, their teammates, Burton and Martin.
As we watch these guys, there we go back to the leader. And I'm not trying to pump this thing up or anything, but they're gaining on him. The 2nd place car is gaining on Dale Jarrett.
But he only has 5 more laps to go.
Well, that's right. So maybe this thing will last long enough.
Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt are racing for position. Labonte has struggled since the restart after the red flag. He finds himself in 8th. Dale Earnhardt in 9th, as you can see on your scoring pylon. Bobby Hamilton running 10th.
And there we see the SCP Pontiac coming to the picture.
Earnhardt's got a good run on the outside of Terry.
Looks like he's going to move back. Yes, he does.
Sure does. So move the 3 up to 8.
43 car, Hamilton. Tires are just a little bit better than some of these other, than the 5 car especially. Here we go. Dale Jarrett comes off the corner. This time it'll be 3 to go. There is 2nd and 3rd.
Yes, they are definitely gaining on him, but there's less than 3 laps to go now. Here comes Bobby Hamilton to the inside of Terry Labonte here on the front straightaway. And Bobby Hamilton will drop back behind Terry into turn 1. Labonte goes way up high on the racetrack, and Hamilton tries to take the spot away down low. I don't think Labonte wanted to get that high, did he?
No, I don't think so.
Look at
I don't know.
Yeah, he's up there again.
He's up there again.
than 2 to go now, AP. Yep, Hamilton just cannot get by Labonte.
Drives it once again. Has a good run this time. Come off the corner, and Labonte is there.
Labonte makes up on the straightaway when he loses in the corners. The white flag is out. One more lap to go for Dale Jarrett. He continues to maintain about a 2.3-second advantage over Ernie Irvan and Morgan Shepherd. There they come off the second corner. There come Ernie and Morgan. Dale Jarrett now looks into turn number 3. Keeps the car in the middle of the straightaway. We see the car still backfiring as it has for a lot of the race. But it doesn't make any difference because Dale Jarrett wins the PRIMESTAR 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Ernie Irvan finishes second. Morgan Shepherd is third. Here's the race for the 9th position at the line off of corner number 4. Labonte has 9th position. Bobby Hamilton finishes in 10th. Here's Bill Weber.
Todd Parrott, congratulations. You finally won one, man.
Man, I'm telling you what, after the last couple of weeks, I was beginning to wonder if we were going to ever win one. I didn't have no doubts in my mind that we were going to win. It's just a matter of when we were going to win. We've had an awesome race car for 4 straight races, and just can't say enough about this Robert Yates racing team. It's awesome. And what more can you say? The good Lord helped us out today, looked after us.
How about unofficially the Winston Cup points lead?
Is that right? Cool.
That's all you can say is cool.
By the way, Tyler, DD's bringing home a big trophy for you and Mama.
And Dale Jarrett and Todd Parrott and this crew on their way to Victory Lane. Jackaroo.
And you'd think that this guy, Richard Jackson, was going to Victory Lane. What a great run.
We did have a good run today. We just were behind, all day. And Morgan said when he got up close to the 28 car, it made the car push. Takes the air off the front. And I think Morgan had, he did a real good job today. And it's just hard to catch up any more than he did.
Well, he caught up enough to finish third, guys. And I'll tell you what, it's a great run for a team that came to Daytona without a sponsor.
Indeed, the 9th career win for Dale Jarrett here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we'll be back after this from our ABC stations. We'll be back to talk with the winner, Dale Jarrett. Dale Jarrett emerges from his car in Victory Lane. And let's go down with our winner's circle interview, the McDonald's winner's circle interview. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, 33 years ago, his dad, Ned, went to Victory Lane here in Atlanta. Today, it is son, Dale. And Dale, congratulations on a great effort.
Thank you, Jerry. I've got to thank the Lord that everybody's okay, first off. Then there were some bad wrecks there after we got started, and just want to thank him for keeping everybody safe, and for giving me the ability to drive this and put me in the situation to drive for Robert Yates and Doug Yates and Todd Parrott. This was just an incredible race car. I want to thank Ford Quality Care and Ford Credit, people at Texaco, everybody that helps with this effort, Plasticoat. Just an incredible race car. I want to say hello to Kelly and Natalie and Carson, who are in Florida, couldn't be here. We had a bet, girls. I hope y'all did as well as we did here today.
Your heart had to skip a beat back on lap 190 when the ignition failed.
Yeah, I did more than that. I didn't know what had happened. When things are going that good, you're just waiting for something to happen. But what happened was a coil went out, and I switched over to the other coil and never missed a beat after that. And what concerned me as much as anything was restarting there at the very end. We'd sat so long, and obviously the air pressure had gone out of the tires, and I didn't know exactly how it was going to behave then. But it was awesome at the end. That was the best the car had been all day long.
At Rockingham and Richmond, he led the most laps, but did not go to Victory Lane. Today, Bob, he would not be denied.
He led 254 of the 328 laps here at Atlanta. Well, ABC World News Sunday will be coming up on most of these ABC stations in just a few moments. Let's take a look at the unofficial results from our race here this afternoon. Finishing second was Ernie Irvan. Morgan Shepherd was third. Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, and Bobby Hamilton, the top 10.
Johnny Benson finishes in the lead lap 11th. Then the cars one lap down. Ward Burton, Kyle Petty, Robbie Gordon, and John Andretti. 16 through 30 this afternoon. Darrell Waltrip, Rick Mast, And the cars 2 laps down, Brett Bodine, the only car there, then Chad Little, Jeff Bodine, Mike Skinner, Lake Speed, Sterling Marlin, David Green, Kenny Schrader, Mike Wallace, Greg Sachs, Dick Trickle, Kenny Wallace, and Ricky Rudd.
And the first car out of this event was Jeff Gordon, the '85 NASCAR Winston Cup champion and the driver who had come into this race with the points lead and had won 2 of the first 3 events. But he is no longer the points leader. Dale Jarrett is the points leader. Terry Labonte is 29 points back. Mark Martin 70 points back in 3rd. Gordon slips to 4th, and Bobby Labonte is 5th. Here's Bill Weber.
Run 2, 1-2 sweep for Robert Yates Racing. Ernie Irvin, great run for you, 2nd today.
It is. You know, we're happy with it. You know, we should have had some good top 5s this year, and you know, now we got one.
Okay, Ernie Irvin comes home 2nd here today at Atlanta.
So a good run for the Robert Yates team as they finish 1st and 2nd. But a lot of drivers had great runs here this afternoon, and also we're very thankful that nobody got hurt. Of course, Steve Grissom with a very bad crash, but he is okay. We'd like to remind everybody that because of the length of this race and the red flag that we had, the IROC race had to be postponed. It will be on at a later date. Please check your local listings.
A great afternoon for Dale Jarrett, for Robert Yates Racing. Dale Jarrett winning, Ernie Irvin in 2nd place, and I echo the statements. Thank goodness no one was seriously hurt this afternoon.
So the sun begins to set here in the western sky at Atlanta after an afternoon of excitement. Aerial shots courtesy of the Pennzoil Copter Cam, and our driver communications were provided by Racing Electronics. We thank you very much for joining us here in Atlanta here this afternoon. Of course, we'll have other ABC coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup racing this year from the new California Speedway in Fontana in June, and then the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in August. On behalf of Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, Jerry Punch, and Bill Weber, I'm Bob Jenkins, congratulating Dale Jarrett, winning today's PrimeStar 500. So long from Atlanta Motor Speedway near Hampton, Georgia.
This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.